agenda is, I hope, is flighted. Of course, the MEC will join online. We'll give him time. He's already joined. We'll give him time when the time comes. Can we then deal with the agenda? In our agenda, item 4, it's a remark by the MEC. We'll then have the presentation of the 25-26 budget. For vote 14, we'll have a discussion, and then we'll have another budget presentation it's another meeting that will come in later. It does not concern you. So at this point in time, of course, the committee will deal with the provincial for vote 6. But for what it pertains for this meeting is merely for vote 14, which is public works. We'll then have a discussion and close, and then have another meeting, the following meeting. Can we adopt this agenda, honorable members? Of course, we are going to be engaging with the legislature. We feel that the time that we are being given is a bit limited to do justice on all of the budgetary issues relating to departments. 2 hours is quite a limited time. But for today, because it's what we have to do with the time we have in front of us. Can I then see if there are any issues, colleagues, for adoption? Any mover for the agenda? Honorable de Klerk.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you. It has been moved. Any seconder? Honorable Na, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right. No, thank you so much. The agenda has been then adopted. We'll then give to the MEC. Honorable MEC, you are welcome. We can give you your 5-minute remarks. MEC?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. I hope I am audible. And I am a politician that doesn't even take 5 minutes. So I thank you for your time. And honorable colleagues, please accept my humblest apologies that I cannot be there with you in person and that I won't be here for the whole meeting. As the honorable chairperson has indicated, I'm in Polokwane attending the ministerial MEC's meeting that I have to do. So please don't take this as any disrespect, chairperson. But my team, or our team from Public Works and Infrastructure is there, and I know they will do justice to this presentation. Chairperson, I just want to touch on 3 very quick and short matters. The first of all is that, for Public Works and Infrastructure, we have very little room to maneuver with our budget because we are a department that has very fixed expenditures like the rates that we have to pay and other fixed expenditures. So we have very little room to maneuver in our budget as everything is quite pretty fixed by the time we get it already. Which takes me straight to the second point, is that our ongoing concern, Chairperson, is that there's a big disconnect between what we have to pay in rates to municipalities and that which we receive from the Treasury to pay, leaving us with a massive shortfall every year, leading to us struggling to pay municipalities, and that means municipalities are then struggling to provide the services as they are not getting money from us as one of the biggest ratepayers in the province. It is something that we are in constant discussion with Treasury with, and I'm sure the team from Public Works and Infrastructure will explain this. We are doing everything we can to minimize our footprint with rates to bring down what we pay. But as long as that disconnect, and disconnect is an important word because if we don't pay, that's exactly what happens, Chairperson, we get disconnected. But as long as that disconnect between what we receive to pay rates and what we actually have to pay in rates remains, our budget will not be sufficient to do what we as Public Works and Infrastructure are supposed to do. And then lastly, Chairperson, very important matter, just to remind everyone of in committees, is that budget infrastructure or infrastructure budget, so that goes to the physical building of schools, clinics, and so forth, does not come to public works and infrastructure, and therefore does not reflect within our budget. That would reflect in the budget of our client departments, whether it be health, education, sports, arts and culture, or whichever department it is. So whilst we have a small budget, if you just look at the numbers, we are actually responsible for the expenditure of a large budget because we are responsible as the implementing agent for spending the infrastructure budget of the other departments. But even there, Chairperson, I think I would not be doing my duty if I didn't point out that we are struggling because client departments are not paying us, which means it's very difficult for us to then pay the contractors. And that puts pressure on our budget as well going forward as we try and keep projects moving without breaking the law or getting in trouble with the AG. Chairperson, with those few short remarks, I think you are more here to listen to the actual budget than to listen to a politician ramble on. So with that, Chairperson, I will hand over to you and apologize that I will have to disconnect shortly as I am required back into the MINMEC meeting. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
No, thank you so much, Honorable MEC. You are released. We understand the other tasks that you have. We appreciate your connection. Thank you so much. Then we'll then give straight to the acting HOD to take us through the presentation.
Greetings, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Jungwane. Greetings to the honorable members of the Finance Portfolio Committee, and greetings to all other persons, especially my colleagues and my team from the Department of Public Works. Thank you, Honorable Chair and honorable members. Firstly, let me start off by saying it's definitely a privilege and an honor to sit before you all, and we hope that we do justice in presenting Vote 14 to this august House and yourself, Honorable Chair, together with the honorable members present. Honorable Chairperson, the scope of my presentation is in response and direct response to your letter dated 18th of March 2025, and the scope of the presentation will be as follows. We will be providing yourselves with the department's mandate, inclusive of that, together with the vision and mission, the alignment, Chairperson, of Vote 14 with national and provincial priorities. Attached to that, Chair, we've added key cost drivers, which will provide this committee with ample information as to what are the expenditures that drive public works and drive the province forward in terms of infrastructure delivery and immovable asset management, together with extended public works program that we run. We've also, Chairperson, highlighted to yourselves, and I will be taking you through that as well, the APP per program. Third of the last items would be that of spending pressures, which the Honorable MEC has touched on and alluded to in his opening remarks. And lastly, we felt that it's important, Honorable Chair, to also present to yourself and the honorable members the turnaround plan that one would have to undertake in this coming financial year in order to ensure that Public Works delivers on its key mandates. In respect of slide 1, Chairperson, with respect to the department's mandate, we have 5 mandates, Chairperson. The first one is we are the custodians of provincial immovable assets, and that's where the whole issue around the rates responsibility lies. We secondly involved in the construction and maintenance of government buildings. Thirdly, we are responsible for the provision of office accommodation for various provincial departments. Fourthly, the issue around the extended public works program. And lastly, Chairperson, the coordination of catalytic projects for the province of KZN. Chairperson, you would note the 7th administration, when we did conduct our strategic workshop, we changed the vision of Public Works and the mission of Public Works to include the vision that's before you all. I'm not going to read it out, Chair, but in essence, what we've done is we've aligned the vision and the mission in respect to the Government of National Unity and Provincial Unity's mandates. And hence, you will note, Chair, in slide 3, 4, and 5, which I won't read in detail, you would note that I've answered question 1 on the brief that was given to us on 18 March. But just to take this committee and take yourself, Honorable Chair, through it, we can fully sit here and we will demonstrate to yourselves that that Vote 14 is fully aligned to the statement of intent, to the GNU's minimum programs, to the medium-term development plan 2024 to 2029, and last but not least, with respects to the draft provincial growth and development strategy for 2024, which would cover as well the Honourable Premier's State of the Province address and items that he listed herein. With your permission, Honourable Chair, I would like to take us through to slide 6 and give you an in-depth analysis as to how Vote 14 is aligned to the National Development Plan, the Medium-Term Development Priorities, the PGDS, and the Medium-Term Development Plan, which I will also highlight in the APP presentation. Chairperson, we looked at 4 outcomes. The first outcome is increased employment and work opportunities, and there we looked at employment and labour and public employment programs, and we've listed the links on column 2 with regards to how it links to the NDP, MDTP, PGDS, and the priorities in respect of inclusive growth and job description. Second of the outcome, Chairperson, was productive assets. Within that is the maintenance of facilities and the productive use of facilities, and we've listed how that as well would tie up. And when I go through the economic classification and the funding that's allocated to each, I would put this August House and yourself, Chair, into perspective of what amounts are added. We then looked at the third item, which is increased infrastructure investment, access, efficiency, and cost, and we've listed that as well, how it ties in with regards to the NDP, MDTP, PGDS, and the statement of intent. Lastly, and not least, and one of the most important priorities we view, Chairperson, with great caution and care, is that of an ethical, capable, and professional public service. Chair, I then would like to start with the business of the day in terms of presenting Vote 14 to yourselves, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, in respects of the 3 programs that Vote 14 would cover. Program 1 is that of administration. It conforms fully with 3 sub-programs. That's the Office of the MEC, the Management of the Department, and Corporate Support. Program 2, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, is that of the Public Works Infrastructure, which conforms with 2 sub-programs, which that being immovable asset management, and the second being construction, which deals purely with matters pertaining to infrastructure. Program 3, Chairperson, we've been given the mandate from Treasury and from National that it has to be a standalone mandate, and that is the mandate of the expanded public works program, which conforms with 2 sub-programs, namely program support and community development. Chairperson, I want us to take a pause a bit and spend some time on table 14.4, and one listed it as table 2.1, whereby you would see that there's 3 columns there. I would like to take this committee together with yourself, Chair, to column 3 under the heading Medium-Term Estimates 25-26, and I would like to take you through the budget of Vote 14 in respect of 3 items. The first being the administration, which I did qualify what it does conform to. And what does it represent? We're looking at a total value of 467,650,000. 2, program public works infrastructure, 1.522,832,000. 3, expanded public works, 47 million. That gives you a total of 2034490 billion, Chairperson. I would then like to draw to yourselves that on column 2, the revised estimates, the bottom line figure is 2155031. The reason for that distinction, Honourable Members and Honourable Chairperson, is to demonstrate to this committee that instead of the budget increasing, it's decreased by 117,541,000. That doesn't take into account the current accruals we face, and we've got 5 municipalities that are currently preparing a gender valuation rules, which in essence will push this budget to a deficit of close to 900 million, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members. However, I'm happy to say, Chairperson, and Cabinet together with yourselves have responded positively that the MEC for Treasury together with Cabinet has made an additional amount available for property rates on slide 8 to a total tune of 168,780 million. The issue at this stage, Chairperson, I'm not going to get into 26, 27, 27, 28, 25, 28, because these are just figures that they've projected. It hasn't been gazetted, and nor do we have any guarantee that it should be. Should we get this, it would be exactly what is here. But what I can say, Chair, that definitely there's a plan, and definitely that we're doing everything in our power to bring the rates pull down, which I will discuss with yourselves in terms of the turnaround plan. The financial considerations and overview, Chairperson, which is on slide 9 for the 25-26 medium-term expenditure framework, is very scary, Chairperson, but it's also something that we've got to confront. And I think my task today as the acting accounting officer is to place it before yourself, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, that the MEC quite correctly and succinctly put it forward that the budget of public works has very little longitude or latitude, so meaning it's prescriptive in its nature, and it has very little funding available for goods and services. Now, if you look at the amounts on column 3, which is titled Medium-Term Estimates, you will note for the 25-26 financial year on current payments, which is the compensation of employees, goods and services, and the likes of transfers and subsidies and payments for capital assets, we're sitting at goods and services at a total amount of 265,543 for the province of KZN. And that is only, I'm going to go to it schematically on slide 10 on what percentage that represents in terms of the total budget. In terms of the compensation of employees, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, we're sitting at 781,644,000, and therefore that brings you to the bottom line figure of 2,037,490. Chairperson, on slide 10, one must just highlight to yourselves that the figure for compensation of employees, and if one looks at it schematically and in terms of statistics, one would note it's at 38%. But that's taking into account property rates, which is funding that's specially appropriated in the budget. Now, if you take out that, public works compensation of employees or personnel cost is sitting at 68 to 69%. We should be at 60. And we should be looking at ways on how to reduce that. The unfortunate part of that, Chair, is that had we received adequate budget, it would be within that mean. You then look at, Chairperson, which is very alarming, the issue around goods and services sitting, Honourable Members and Honourable Chair, at 13%. That leaves us with very little latitude and longitude of what programs we can deliver with this monies, and therefore you'd see in the preceding slides that I covered it quite in depth for this August House, together with yourself, Chair, to understand what Public Works will be setting out in terms of the national and provincial priorities, and in terms of the PGDS and the medium-term development plan of how we're going to make sure that we meet those priorities and meet the demands that face the people of KZN. In respect of provinces and municipalities, that's what the Honourable MEC covered at length as well, Chair. You'd see 48% of that 2 billion goes for that. That, in essence, Chairperson, tells you that you left for payment of capital assets with 1% and households 0.4%. In respect of Program 1, Chairperson, Program 1, as explained, the major cost drivers for Program 1 is that of the compensation of employees, computer services, which is inclusive of CETA's operational cost and software licenses, internal and external bursaries, Chairperson, advertising cost, audit cost, legal services, training and development, and the payment of fuel and maintenance services. You would then see, Chairperson, I then exactly took out the Program 1 from the budgeted printouts, and you would note I listed it accordingly in terms of what the different amounts are for, and I would like to take you through column 3, which is the medium-term expenditure frameworks. In respect of the Office of the Honourable MEC, we're sitting at 15,380 million. In terms of the management of the department, we're sitting at 267,136 million. In terms of corporate support, we're sitting at 185,134 million. That gives you a total of 467,650, which I did indicate. Then you'd look at table 14.13, the summary of payments and estimates by economic classification, and you'd then go to column 3 as well, and you would note then how those figures are broken down and how you get an amount of 467. But what I did, Chairperson, in terms of the next slide, I also then said that even though we're putting it, and it's quite minute, and I must apologize to this August House and yourself, Chair, that it's in order to put it on the slide, we had to bring the font down. I then decided to put in a slide on Program 1 cost drivers and list each of the amounts that I just demonstrated to yourselves in a slide before, in a schematic presentation. I put it on the Excel spreadsheet in order to take this House into confidence and demonstrate to them what allocations are allocated to each of these cost drivers. That concludes Program 1 in terms of the budget. Now, in terms of your first mandate, Honourable Chair, in respect of how the budget within the department would be spent, and I thank the Honourable Malloy for the guidance that she provided me in the portfolio, we then directed this into the APP, and you would see that on this slide here, on slide 14, we linked it up to the medium-term development priority, which is to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. We looked at the outcome as well of an ethical, capable, and professional public service. And then we've listed each of the outcomes that we will be undertaking within the new financial year. And you would see on each of them, Chairperson, we have an annual target. We've broken them down into quarterly targets, and we captured them into clear guidelines as to what each of these branch heads that are present here today will be undertaken in the new financial year. If there's any questions post this presentation, Chair, because I've got 30 minutes, you will take me through the slide, and I would have no issues together with my team in explaining same. We then, Chairperson, also as we close in program 1, which is on slide 17, you will note as well that we've covered in each of our programs the medium-term priority 1 and medium-term priority 3, but we've not covered priority 2. Now, Chair, you would note as well that priority 2 is social. It's for social development and also to improve the lives of the people of KZN. And by virtue of what we do, building schools, building hospitals, we do contribute to it. But I could not come and sit before you all because I didn't have a budget. As what the Honourable MEC said, it sits with the client departments, and the client departments would then task Public Works as the implementing agency. And in your briefing of the 18th of March, you covered it quite correctly in saying that we must provide details of all major capital or infrastructure expenditure and any rollout for the outer years, and we need to demonstrate mechanisms that we'll have that the department should have in appointing an implementing agent. Public Works is an implementing agent, Chairperson. Hence, I did not want to put that here because we don't have that budget. In terms of Program 2, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, the major drivers within this program as well, and you'll see it common through Program 1, 2, and 3. It's compensation of employees, property rates, GIAMA conditional assessments, which is answers your question on question 2 with regards to conditional funding, and does Public Works have service level agreements with each of the 9 provincial departments? And then next, the property payments and buildings and other fixed structures. Chairperson, I'm confident to declare to this committee that we have valid service level agreements with each of the provincial departments. They are tracked monthly, and they are monitored through the Auditor General as well, and we definitely fully compliant as vote 14. In respect of Program 2, Chairperson, you would note that the bottom line figure is 15226,832. Bulk of that amount, Chairperson, goes for property rates, and you will see it's sitting now at 960 million. Now, provinces and municipalities is 957, 951, and then we've broken it down into households as well. Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, it's a problem, and I will discuss it on the turnaround plan of what we think. We're sitting at a deficit as we speak with the appropriated budget of over 600 million on property rates. We still haven't had the 5 municipalities general valuation roll. They're busy with it, but I will indicate to this august House and yourself as to how we intend to cross the line and get this department across the line come close of financial year end next year in respect of property rates. Chairperson, I then again put it out into a Excel spreadsheet for yourself, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, and I listed each of the different line items or cost drivers and the expenditure in column 1, 2025, 2026, and I took it to the outer years as well in terms of the medium-term expenditure framework, and I've listed that accordingly as well. With respects to the summary of infrastructure payments and estimates, Chairperson, you will note that on slide 21, I want us to know, Chairperson, that the maintenance of assets and the upgrades and additions and the rehabilitation and the refurbishment of same has a total amount of 25,171,000. And then we've broken it down into maintenance and repairs of 17 million. Public Works alone, Chairperson, is responsible for maintenance of all infrastructure assets for the province of KZN, would obviously departments making same available. Year in, year out, Chairperson, when we do the conditional assessments, and Honourable Members, when we detail the facilities in terms of classifications from C1 to C6, most of the province of KZN's assets, it's sitting at C1, C2, and C3, and not at the C4, C5 level where it should be optimal. It should be able to comply with all regulations, and it should be well maintained. So, in essence, what I'm saying is that even though there's a requirement in terms of GIAMA that we need to do conditional assessments on all 10,200 assets that are listed within the asset register for public works. We struggle, Chairperson, and hence you would note on the APP, we can only do an amount of 150 conditional assessments. Multiply that by 5, which doesn't bring you anywhere near 10,200. If you had to do it, you need to be sitting at 225 minimum per financial year, and that would be, in essence, a cost of 30 to 40 million, 60 million. At the moment, we only receive an amount of 17 million for conditional assessments. I then decided, Chairperson, that to also provide you all a narrative on slide 22 in respects of what are the maintenance and repairs and what actually it covers. Now, it's very alarming, Chair, and I need to make mention of same to yourselves and the Honourable, to yourself, Honourable Chair, and to the Honourable members, that it will only cover repairs of buildings in the eThekwini region, the LA complex that's situated in Ulundi, and we're all aware of the recent disaster there, and it would cover the Midlands and the Southern region, very few buildings, not all what requires to be done. In terms of upgrades, in addition, Chair, I also listed that it would cover all the flood damage that happened in July 2021. And we're in 2025. So you can imagine, Chair, where I needed to maintain what is the condition of that is probably a rebuild. Lastly, Chair, new infrastructure assets cater for payments of final accounts on the Ilembe district office. I want to lay your fears, Chairperson, because I am going to come to that slide in terms of the turnaround strategy that we want to implement as the administration of public works, together with the Honourable MEC and our Public Works Committee, on how do we going to turn the tide and mitigate the current financial pressures we face. Because I feel that, and I said to my team, that I would be doing this committee a disfavour if I could not indicate to this August House how we're going to navigate this treacherous terrain that we face within the new 25-26 financial year. I then, Chairperson, listed again for Programme 2, as mentioned previously, with the help of the Portfolio Committee, how does these APP targets link with the medium-term development priorities, and I listed it in slides 23, 24, 25, and concluding on 28, sorry, Chair. In terms of Programme 3, if we can take us through to slide 29, you would note, Chair, that Programme 3 is the extended public works, expanded public works program. I must state to this August House and yourself, Chair, that the total budget allocation for the program is at 44 million. It's made up of the compensation of employees, the EPWP maintenance program, and the EPWP coordination program. For some reason or another, Chair, the pressures that this program faces and the allocation of budget from the National Department of Public Works doesn't tie up. And we need to navigate this terrain and also ensure that we deliver this program for the province of KZN, because we are the custodians of EPWP as Public Works. And you would note, Chair, that the latitude and longitude in this budget is almost zero. I then would like to refer this committee to slide 31, which talks about the compensation of employees, excluding EPWP stipends, sitting at 23,209,000. The EPWP coordination program sitting at 6,321,000. The EPWP maintenance program, which is also the conditional grant from GIAMA, and the integrated grant also covers that, is 10,368,000 and 5,418,000. And lastly, operational costs, which is lease of photocopy machines, at 1.692 million. That gives you a total budget allocation of 47 million. Just in essence of what was required, Chairperson, we needed at least 20 million on the item 3 and item 4, and we couldn't provide that because that is what the budget allocations are for. I then said to the team that we need to meet with National and we need to find a way as to how we can fund this program through conditional grants and how better we can ensure that we budget. You then note, Chair, that this program covers extensively the medium-term development priority 1, which is to drive inclusive growth and job opportunities. And you would see, Chair, we're probably the only province that meets these targets on an annual basis, and we've been commended on numerous platforms for this. And I'd like to bring that to the attention of this August House and yourself. Despite the pressures we face, we're able to deliver on it. Chair, the next part of the presentation is quite crucial, and I will try to be as succinct and as short as possible. But Public Works faces itself, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, with serious budget pressures or spending pressures. The first being the issue around audit cost and communication cost. and that has been communicated to yourselves. The issue around property rates as well, I've indicated, Chair, how that affects the department. We're sitting in a deficit of over 600 million. Lastly, the issues around safety and security and the inadequate budget for same, and how do we then ensure that we safeguard assets of government. Fourthly, being infrastructure in terms of maintenance, the buildings and structures. Fifth, the issue around EPWP, which I just covered at length as well. And lastly, the insufficient budget, Chairperson, to fill vacant posts. I'm sure, Chair, that Treasury is appearing before yourselves at 2, and they will cover that in terms of the instruction that was given from National for us to foot the bill in terms of the pay progressions for the 24-25 financial year, which has a negative effect if you look at the 25-26. Now, the best part of the presentation for myself, Chair, is to present to yourselves that how to myself, together with the esteemed team that I lead, would navigate this terrain and ensure that we deliver on the 5 mandates that are set out in slide 1. The first issue around the department, Chairperson, which is quite sad, and I'm sure those that came before me laid the foundation with a good mind and good thought process around ensuring that Public Works has an overdraft facility of in excess of 350 million. Honourable Chair, what this does is that it makes departments not pay us, run the bill over 120 days, and in essence what they do is utilize Public Works as their overdraft facility, which is something that has brought this department to an IDA balance of over 900 million, which in the last 6 months we've reduced to 545 million. And Chair, I needed to bring that out to you all because had we continued on this trajectory, and Treasury is in the process of issuing 2 Treasury note instructions, we would have brought the province of KZN to its knees, especially as Public Works, because we would have had a deficit of over R1 billion that we're owing to people who have completed works on the ground. The next thing is, Chairperson, we need a monthly cash flow of 160 million. The trajectory that the department was going along in the 24-25 year was quite sad in the payment of property rates upfront to municipalities without realizing any discounts and giving that money out of your account instead of keeping that money and managing your cash flow. We're saying, Chair, and we've implemented same, well, we're going to implement same from the 1st of April, that all municipalities where we owe monies in terms of property rates will require that money upfront. We're willing to negotiate with you provided you come with a discount structure and we pay you upfront, or we are going to cash flow your rates on a 112 principle, or we're going to cash flow it according to invoices that we know, which is in the system that will be due. In terms of the IDA, Chair, I've covered that as well. In terms of the issue around how are we going to tackle the reduction of property rates, Chair, I want to say to you that in the next week or so from the Bill KZN conference, we will be releasing a total of 98 properties and we're entering into 27 long-term leases. That would, what in essence that would do, Chair, is to lower the rates bill for the department and ensure that those properties which are unutilized and unused are better put to use for the people of KZN and contribute into the social economic development side. Chair, we also then are looking at issues around the filling of vacancies. The mandate and the clarion call from the portfolio together with the MEC is very clear. Public Works going into the 25-26 financial year, I'm coming to an end, Chair, has to work on a needs basis and on what is needed and not what is wishful and what you think you need. So whatever we're going to do, Chair, we can assure you that Treasury set the target for subsistence and travelling at 2,000 kilometers per month. We dropped it to 1,500. We're also saying that any events, any travelling must be first utilize a state vehicle. Secondly, it must be signed off by the relevant individuals. And we've taken it to a further extent of saying, Chair, that as we go into the new financial year, if we spend anything, we want to account to the portfolio and yourselves to say that there were tangible results on the side. We have a history, Chair, and I don't want to get into that because it's bygone, but where we weren't financially prudent, we did take monies that were due for projects and spend it elsewhere, and we find ourselves where we are today because of those decisions. But I'm happy to note and I'm happy to say to yourself, Chair, we have a plan. The plan has been demonstrated to yourselves. We are going to stick to the plan, Chair. We will be monitored by the portfolio together with yourselves. We will be appearing before SCOPA and all the other oversight committees like CARC and PARC, and we want to be held accountable, and we therefore present same for your consideration, Chair, and that of the consideration of the committee. But we want to say to you all, Chair, that the task at hand is difficult. It's a tall order to climb. We require your support, and we will value any input, Chair, and any constructive criticism that you or the honourable members may have. I therefore submit vote 14 for your further consideration, Chair. Thank you, and I thank the honourable members. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, HOT. And of course, we are now going to give members a chance to interrogate. Can I start here, Honourable Dax, and then Honourable de Klerk, Honourable Brother Seth, and then Honourable Naya?
Yes. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Through you, Chairperson, to the HOT. I won't go into the detail of this budget, but I want to thank the HOT for his honesty in this in presenting this budget. He's been honest. He's been upfront with us. It is clear from what he says. He says that this budget has no longitude, there's no latitude. He also tells the committee here that there'll be a deficit in this budget. Now, therein lies our problem, as Mkonto says, accepting this budget as presented here. We're actually budgeting for a deficit. That's what we are doing here. We are actually budgeting for a deficit. And then come the SCOPA hearings, then we as the politicians that approve such a budget then goes and question officials and put officials under tremendous pressure for over expenditure and so forth. And yet we were informed up front there's a deficit here. The amount that they have requested, they have not been granted. That have been, in fact, their budget has been reduced. Now, this is a problem for us, and it makes it very, very difficult for us to support such a budget, because we can't go back to officials and go and question them about overspending later on when we know the result of approving such a budget. Well, the HOT is one of the better HOTs that we have in this province here, and the upfrontness and that we appreciate it. But just on one issue I want to deal with, your turnaround plan. Your turnaround plan. Number, I see on your turnaround plan, where's it? The way you state about the region. Where is it now? Okay, where you stated the issue of selling off public works properties. We are not in favor of disposing of state assets. We believe the state assets must be used to build to build the state. We must use those efforts to build the state. So we don't support the issue about disposing of assets. I'll tell you why. You see, once upon a time in another life of mine, I was the deputy mayor of the city. It was those days when the city was very, very clean and the city was well ran. We only had the debt of the city at that time. The debtors book of the city at that time was at 600 million rand, and we got into serious trouble for a 600 million debtors book. We were informed by the leadership at that time by Mr. William Kize and Mr. Zboon Debele that if you don't get a clean audit, you must have your letter of resignation ready. You must leave the city, you must go. They were very, very strict on us, and the city was functioning properly at that time. Now, I'm raising this yes because we have the landlords in the city here that do not pay the land. When I say the landlords that you as public work are contracted to, we pay them millions of rands. The private landlords, we are paying them millions of rands, and on top of that, they don't pay their rates and service charges to the city. They don't pay electricity. They don't pay their rates. They're in arrears of hundreds of millions of rand. Now, our view as MK is that public works should actually become the landlord. And all these departments that are renting from private landlords should actually rent from public works. And public works will generate millions of rands in income, because we pay some over 100 million rand a month, individual landlords a month for rental accommodation for departments in this province. So public works should actually become the landlord of all departments, because we do have the buildings. And in that way, we will be building a capable state, because we'll employ people to maintain these buildings. We'll invest in those buildings to upgrade those buildings. And public works then will become the landlord. And we'll rake in millions of rands from the department instead of paying private landlords millions of rands a month currently. Just in Pietermaritzburg alone in the city, we pay millions of rands. I know all the buildings that we are releasing from private landlords, and they are making a killing on rental income. Talk about millions, hundreds of millions of rands. Now, that is the reason why we say public works should not dispose of these buildings, because it's a once-off payment we will get for those buildings. That money will get finished, but once you renovate, upgrade these buildings, we'll have a lifetime income. And we'll be very clear as the provincial government, the government departments now will lease from public works, and we'll pay the rentals to public works instead of paying it to private individuals in the city and also all over the province. So it's difficult for us to approve a budget that say that we must get rid of state assets. We don't in support of getting rid of state assets. As MK, we believe state assets must be retained in order to build a capable state, to build a very efficient state. And it will also create jobs. In that way, public works will actually create proper, decent jobs and run profitably with these buildings. So we want to say reconsider this thing of getting rid of buildings in the public works buildings. But as it stands currently, we cannot support the budget as it is. With all due respect to you, we appreciate your honesty. We know that you are trying your best, but you are budgeting now for a deficit, and therefore we cannot support the budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Declare. I'll come back to you, Honorable Sam.
Thanks, Chair. I just want to understand, must I put forward all my questions and then it will be answered later?
Because we've got a bit of a challenge of time, can we deal with all of the questions and then she will...
I'll try to keep it simple. Just on what was mentioned now, HOD, is it correct? Is your budget a budget that you will have a shortfall? Or is it possible that you will overspend? Because you cannot budget knowing from day one that you will overspend. But then the budget is faulty. If one don't get what you want, you budget according to that what you got. That mustn't be then perceived as you budgeting for a shortfall. You are not. So I just want to put that first. Secondly, all your programs follows the NDP. And I hear that you say that you are going to, your achievements, you achieve the targets in that sense. My question, I don't know if you can ask that, the NDP has not been successful over a long period. Is it worthwhile carrying on with that NDP until 2030? You see it in practice every day. Then just on the EPWP, because now that comes in one of these issues of the development plan. The numbers that was given, if I see here, is that the department implemented the EPW maintenance program and created a total of 3,017 work opportunities. Now, that was for 24-25. And then you say that you will continue implementing the EPWP, and the department is targeting to create 3,819. Is that extra? Or is it just the 3 plus the difference? So at the end of this financial year, we will have an extra. So my question is it an extra 3,890? And is there any other program that tries to get to job creation except EPWP. I think sometimes people look too into EPWP and don't understand there's other more than job opportunities, but jobs, real jobs available. Then, oh yeah, it is the over expenditure. It was projected, but that was 2024. On the issue of the rates, that 350 million, I know it's been broken up. Will it really make a difference? Surely it must have some alleviation of the pressure. And then lastly, the slide number 10, the overview of the financial considerations and overview for 25-26 MTF. It's such a gloomy situation. Is there any light in the tunnel? What I'm trying to say is this is unsustainable. But can it change? That you don't have these expenses that are these fixed expenses and leaving these small margins for capital projects and stuff like that. And it's not just this department. Education, all of them exactly the same thing. All the money goes to salaries and stuff like that. So everybody's got a salary, a car, running around, but sadly when it gets to the programs being rolled out, there's not enough money. And then we go over to the issues of how do you rationalize? Do you rationalize by selling property, which you have to see to that it's kept in good nick, and that costs money, and jobs that is not utilized, so the last one is that. Is there some road, some plan of getting out of this position where the financial position is actually unsustainable? Thank you.
Honorable Parther.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just some very quick questions. First of all, do you owe the OTP any money at the moment for investigations conducted by the OTP? And if you do, have you budgeted to take care of that? Number two, can you please provide us, through the chair, I'm making this request through the chair, with a list of who still owes you money? I know you've given us lists over time, because I think, Chairperson, with your, I'm just suggesting that if we have that relatively quickly, when we have departments appearing in front of us, we can ask them whether they've budgeted to pay you in their current budget. And then finally, we engaged with the OTP this morning, and there was an issue about Parkside, where an amount has been budgeted, but only 240,000 has been spent. And the reason given for the lack of expenditure, and obviously we're concerned that we're coming towards the end of a financial year and they haven't spent all the money. That's, you're not worried about. And they put the blame for that squarely on your shoulders. They said that you had done work for them. There was a dispute about the amount that you charged them, and it was then sent back to you to reconsider it and your quantity surveyors, etc., etc. So I would like to just test whether that's accurate, and if it is accurate, how soon can you get that sorted out and get them to pay you? Because apparently they want to pay you, but they need the proper invoice if their version is correct, and that might be a nice little bit of income for you. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Seth. Honorable Nair.
Thank you so much, Chair, and greetings to one and all. I just want to thank the HOD and your department for the presentation. I just want to comment on a few things, and perhaps you can give me some feedback. When it comes to the rates, I see there's a very steep increase from 168 million to 705 million over the MTF. Now, what is the reason for this? Is it something that you think is required in spite of the fact that the department will be disposing of properties, as well as I see that you've mentioned 27 long-term leases. There's definitely going to be some properties off your hands. So in terms of these leases, I want to find out, have you factored the income that's going to be generated from these leases, factored it into the budget? And perhaps you can give us an approximate figure of what you're looking at earning through these leases. And then the disposal of properties, I think it's over 90 that you mentioned. What criteria has been used to identify these properties to make part of that 90-something properties? And then, seeing as how important disposal of these properties are, do you have a task team put together that will oversee the disposal of these properties so that everything goes according to plan? And also, I do recall quite some time ago that there was issues with regards to disposal of properties to targeted groups. So has this since changed? What measures have you put in place to dispose of properties to targeted groups, or will you just be selling to anyone? So in essence, what I'm trying to ask is, how is this going to impact your budget overall? And how have you reflected this in future budgets? Then secondly, my colleague covered me with regards to EPWP, but I still want to ask, how are you going to ensure that you meet your targets here and also expand on those targets? And then lastly, when it comes to your overdraft, the long-standing overdraft, what is the plan to deal with this overdraft? Thank you, Chair.
Chair, Honorable Sam.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you so much, HOD, with your team with regards to your presentation. But I'm quite concerned about the fact that, HOD, you've alluded that on property rates, we are already sitting on deficit. But if I see here, it's underfunded as well. We know exactly how that can affect us, like the municipalities and all that. What is your turnaround strategy with regards to that? Is it going to help with the deficit that we're already sitting at, and still that on the fact that we are underfunded on it? Number two, I'm quite shocked over the fact that we are having a budget that's already showing us a deficit. What's the point of having a budget if we already know that we're going to experience a shortfall? How are we budgeting? Why are we actually budgeting on something that we don't have? Because according to my understanding, we're supposed to budget on something that we have already. So how does it happen that we budgeted on money that we do not have? How do we get to that place? And also the fact that, the honorable members actually covered me on the EPW part. So yeah, thank you so much, Chair.
Clever Queen, Honorable. Oh yes, and no, Honorable P.A. Mkhize will take him, Honorable Mkhize, online after Honorable Clever Queen.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Greetings to all colleagues. also the HOD and your team, sir. Thank you for the presentation and the turnaround strategy that you have indicated. I'm covered on the issue of the rates increased and also underfunded and the deficit. The colleagues have raised that question. I want to check regarding the turnaround strategy, Chair. You have indicated that on the turnaround strategy, you will be selling the property, the land as well as the buildings. I'm just reminded of the decision of the executive on the government precinct that they said it really need to be built to reduce leasing of the properties. I'm checking, if you look at the buildings that we are going to sell, vis-a-vis the offices that are being rented by the government, if you do comparison, if we can use our own buildings, not leasing the offices, because sometimes it's the increase on the rentals and the hikes, especially if it is rented by the government, becomes so high. If you look at it, because you said you want to sell it so that you reduce the rates, that is also having a challenge. Don't you think that if we utilize the land as well as the offices of government, it can also assist, because they will be renting to you as Department of Public Works rather than you renting private offices. We know that they hike the prices if government is renting. Have you ever thought about looking what can be of more good assistance to the department to sell the properties of the government rather than renovating them and then using them for different departments? Because maybe if as an executive, the executive can take a decision that all the departments, because sometimes you'll find that these are public works buildings, and then next to those buildings, you are renting other offices. Have you done a stock to say these are the government offices we are renting, and then this is the one for the government buildings that we can utilize? Can you tell us whether you have tried to look at those renovation of the government building? Because in a long run, these rentals that the government is doing is going to be more high and also affect the government. But if we are using your own buildings, you know that only the renovations on it, and also at the same time, you'll be getting the rent even from the private sector, because you tend to say, if you make a comparison with the private sector renting the government offices, they pay lesser. But if the government is renting the private offices, they pay more. Maybe if you can look at that one, because I think we are really having the challenge of the rates, maybe to try and balance and see what can be of the assistance to the department regarding the issue of selling buildings or renovating it and making it more economical rather than just leaving them there, because there are a lot of government business. Even the communities, Chair, they want to apply for those government buildings because they are not utilized. But if you have got a plan, to make those buildings economical for the government as well as the private sector, so that they can rent in those offices rather than just selling it, That is my first question, Honorable Chair. I think I'm covered on the other ones, Chair, and we want to appreciate HOD that you are open to us. You come us and then you explain that these are the challenges, but at the same time, you come up with a solution to say, how are you going to deal with it? I think also on the issue that is raised by colleagues to say you are budgeting for deficit. I didn't hear that it was a deficit, you are budgeting for deficit. But you have to explain to us whether you are budgeting for deficit or you have got a plan to cover that one so that all of us, we can be at ease to approve this budget, Chair. Thanks.
Okay, new hands. We are still going to give another round if members wish. So it's just that I'm worried that there's just too many questions that have already been asked. You know, I'm not sure because I've got Honorable Mkhize that we must give him a chance also. I'm just worried about the number of questions because we want them to do justice. If Honorable Sierra, you can allow us to give you with Honorable Stolemloi and Honorable Gaza, who will come back to you. Let's give Honorable Mkhize and then allow them to then answer, and then we'll then take further questions as we move. Honorable Mkhize, Sbarwam.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson Mkhwenyana, honorable members, acting HOD and officials. I'm mostly covered, but still with a huge concern. Really, as Umkhonto weSizwe Party in KwaZulu-Natal and in this legislature, Honorable Dex actually said it all, and Honorable Clever Queen, if I may quote through you, Chair. The turnaround strategy from the department, it looks good, but it's blank in such a way that they are doing this, whatever they are doing through their turnaround strategy to themselves, because they are not enhancing other departments to use them, to use their building, renovating them, renting from them, and all that, provide the same service that the private sector, the buildings that are being rented out, they are supposed to be doing that themselves. Their turnaround strategy should be directly motivating these to the other departments. So whatever that they are bringing to us, it's not good enough for the department itself. So really, we don't see supporting this because it's not helping the department, it's not helping this legislature, saving money, at the same time providing an efficient, proper, quality service by using our own properties, etc. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Sbarwam Shokti and your team.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and greetings once again to all the honorable members. Honorable Chair, I think it's important, and I want to thank Honorable Dirks for his submissions and respond accordingly as well. Firstly, let me say to this august House, together with yourself, Chair, that it would be I'm trying to get the right. It would be totally wrong, Chair, for Public Works under the stewardship of MEC Mayor, together with myself, to budget for a deficit. I mean, Finance 101 will tell you you can't do that in its simplest form. But what I did for this committee, Chair, as an accounting officer, is to take you all into confidence that you know very well this current year your rates budget is 1.6 billion, for example. You have an amount of you have an amount now of 950 million. You're already off the target, acting accounting officer. You can't come and sit here and say, but let me allay the fears to say that we will not spend what we don't have, because that would be financial misconduct and it would be unauthorized expenditure. So what we do is, when we get into the adjustment period, which is late August, September, October, and when legislature and cabinet is debating around special appropriations, that's when Treasury then makes available additional funding to buffer that. However, what we've done, Honourable Dirks and Honourable Members, we've taken this matter of underfunding for rates to the MINMEC Committee of National Public Works, and we've taken it to COCTA as well and to National Treasury to say that we know very well what's the valuation role. We know what's your bottom line figures in terms of rates. But one must be alive to the fact that if you're given the amount that you're given, you can only do so much to it. So then what was the next step? And I would like to also address Honourable Mkhize in respectively deferring professionally, Chair, with him on his submissions that our turnaround strategy doesn't cover the issue around this. Now, what we've done is the budget period for public works, and like any other provincial department, is on the 1st of April. The budget period for the municipality is the 1st of July. So if public works continues on this trajectory of paying municipalities upfront, we're using the budget of the current financial year for the old financial year. So we're saying to municipalities, no, we're not going to pay you all. You give us a 50% discount or any other discount in percentage, like how we negotiate. We'll give you that money upfront because you need to deal with services. What we then did, we went to COCTA KZN. We said to COCTA KZN, allow us an avenue through your forum that you meet with municipal managers to highlight to them that public works will no longer pay this. What myself and MEC Mayor Honourable Dirks found in the department, it's things that were done for years in, years out. We came in with a new idea to say, no, it can't be business as usual. It has to be business as unusual. Honourable Chair, I hear the submission, and I hear it's actually many of the Honourable Members raised it. The issue of disposal of assets, I'm with you, Honourable Dirks, and through you, Chair, that the state at all times should ensure that it utilizes its own resources for the benefit of its internal customers, who are the client departments that we service. The problem we have in KZN, and we haven't confronted the elephant in the room, is that most of your assets, and I said it, are on C1, C2, C3, it's rebuilds, not revamp and put. So if you look at rebuilds, you've got serious hassle. But the 27 long-term leases that we're putting out there are properties that can be betterly used by the private sector. Had we been in a proper financial status and not at 9.7 billion deficit for the province, I would agree with you and say wholeheartedly that's the way to go. The unfortunate part, when you dispose of these properties, Honourable Nair covered it, Chair, as well, to ask me how would it reduce the rates bill. It only reduced the rates bill by 33%. What we then did, which I didn't mention and I should have mentioned, we approached the Provincial Treasury through the Honourable MEC Rogers and together with the HOD and said, as the province of KZN Public Works, we have one valuer. We need to tackle municipal valuation roles, mainly like eThekwini, for example. They will bill for schools that are in rural areas and schools that are in built-up areas the same amount, if not exponentially. We're saying we need to tackle it. We did one test case. We went to the North Coast and we tested 4 valuation roles. We brought in a savings to this province of 55 million with 4 objections. The problem is with one valuer, you won't do it. I then went to the Honourable MEC Rogers together with the HOD and said, can Treasury not assist us with 3 valuers? And they've done that, and therefore from the 1st of April we'll be tackling the valuation roles that are coming into play for the new financial. We took it even a further step. The CFO then said, who's on my left-hand side, said to municipal managers, we are one government, whether we're provincial, national, or local. Why when you're doing your valuation roles, you don't involve public works, so we don't have disagreements when the valuation role is published? We do it at inception. We've done that. The Honourable Dirk said that we won't be able to support a budget that is that you're planning to fail, meaning that you have a deficit. I would also agree with you, Honourable Dirks and Honourable Members, it's impossible. You won't be able to do that. What I'm saying to you that currently as the budget stands, it will balance in terms of the expenditure that I put through. But what it would lead to pressures of accruals where you will have over 400-500 million rand of rates invoices that you'll need to pay, which have to be paid in the new financial year, so you don't have that over expenditure and you're not budgeting for a deficit. It comes back down to basic accounting after that, Chair, whereby we need to make sure that National Treasury gives you that equitable share that can cover the rates base. And it's not a problem only in KZN, it's a problem across all 9 provinces. The last thing the Honourable Dirk said, Chair, is the issue around the monies that are spent to landlords, and a particular landlord in PMB that has the bulk of the thing. I totally agree wholeheartedly with him. The issue at hand is that we picked up a flaw in our tender system where we're not asking for you to provide us a copy that all your rates and everything is paid up, and this landlord has found that loophole and his thing. We then covered that to say all new properties if you want to lease. But we have a problem in the province of KZN, especially Pietermaritzburg. Most of the properties that fit the spec that goes out belongs to this particular landlord. And if I don't accept it, where do I keep a department? So it may look like a straight line, Chair, and obviously you need engagement with myself and my team. But when you sit there and you really plot this thing out, you see, no, it's not a straight line. And it's very difficult to overcome of that. And I want to place on record, Chair, that we're not budgeting for a deficit. We won't do that. We won't even do it because we know that the SCOPA Chair is present here. We won't do things like that. That definitely takes me out and takes my entire team out. And Honourable Mayor is very clear on that. His guidance is very strict. You spend what you have, you don't spend what you don't have. In response to what Honourable de Klerk raised in the issue of the shortfall of the budget, and do we have a shortfall? We have a shortfall in inverted commas, Honourable de Klerk, and you qualified it afterwards because you understood where I was coming from. I took this committee into confidence to say that this will be the pressures that will be, if we do the adjustment budget and we don't get that total amount of 600 million and we don't get savings where municipality says, okay, pay us upfront but give us a 50%. If municipalities give, all municipalities in the province of KZN give us a 50% discount as of tomorrow, the rates money of 953 million is perfect. Will suffer. The problem we have, honourable members and honourable chair, is that I'm a former city manager. Municipal managers know that your money for the running of the municipality comes from rates. They don't want to budge on it. So it's a standoff. Hence, we took it now to MINMEC, which the Honourable MEC is present, to say that, listen, table this there. Let National Treasury understand what are the pressures, and we sit with one voice and we tackle this whole issue around the payment of rates. I'm in agreement with the Honourable de Klerk, and respectively so, Chairperson, and respectively so to all the Honourable members here. The NDP has not performed. My PhD covered that at length as well. The unfortunate part, my paycheck doesn't allow me to comment on that because people like yourselves who are the policy makers should be raising these things at various platforms. I wouldn't discuss that at length as well. My job is to toe the line. What is before me, I would implement. That's my job as an administrator. I would leave the issue around EPWP to the Chief Director of the unit, and he will cover all the questions. But this one I could cover to you, Mr. Honourable de Klerk, that the 3890 is excluding the ones that were achieved for the previous financial year. This starts from the 1st of April, and then obviously if you add both, it gets you over 7,000 jobs. I'm in agreement with you that there are other programs that create jobs, and I raised that at the platform together with my Chief Director. And I said to him, what about the tenders we put out and the jobs that are created there? The problem is that the way National Public Works sets out what is jobs and what you should regard as jobs that have been created doesn't fulfill that requirement, because for some reason or another we're not in the same page, and which we've said now that we need to take it up with National and say, yes, the province of KZN creates jobs in many other ways, not only through extended public works. So I'm in agreement with you. The issue around the rates issue, it will definitely help, Honourable de Klerk, and I'm hoping I qualified myself. If we realize a 50% discount, and if we work according to the financial year of the municipality, it means that April, May, and June, we've got 3 months of buffer to play. You know, when I use the word play, I use it respectively, Chair, meaning, you know, to have guidance as an accounting officer to say, rob Peter, pay Paul, that type of thing, which what I have to do in this current economic climate that we face as public work. So definitely it will achieve its realized goal. I should have put it out to you all that we've already tackled 4 valuation roles that bring in a savings of 55 million. If I tackle the city of Etikeni, which I'm going for, and I don't want to say it on record, which means I'm targeting them, their rates bill is it's crazy. It's crazy what the province of KZN pays. If I get that right, Chairperson, I can get this rates bill right, but it's a long-term process. There is light at the end of the tunnel, Honourable de Klerk. You would note that myself, together with the team that I lead and the Honourable MEC, have gotten into a department that has broken into 1 million pieces. If you had to ask me which piece you put forward, it was a difficult task. But I can tell you, where we stand now, we're 70% putting almost all pieces together. The 30% deals with, most of the thing will deal with money and whether or not we get those monies. And we're fighting tirelessly, and Scopa will also highlight same and also the portfolio to make sure that whatever we get, we spend it to the best of what the deliverables are for the department. Chairperson, in respect of Honorable Naya's submissions, in respects of rates and why they increase, Honorable Naya, very evidently so that, and I'm sure that you have knowledge and therefore you put your question forward, municipalities will inflate their rates bill because that's their source of income. It's equitable share, the selling of electricity and the issue around rates. Now, if Public Works historically had one valuer and Public Works sits before this committee and says we can deliver, the answer is a big no, you won't. Therefore, I'm saying to you, we went to Provincial Treasury, and we've now got 3 additional values who will tackle the major cities like the city of Msunduzi, the city of Newcastle, the city of Richards Bay, and the city of eThekwini to bring down the rates bill. The increase in rates is purely a scientific process that municipalities, a so-called scientific process, because we know if we attack that scientific process, we find flaws in it. So that's the reason why rates are increased, and that's why municipal managers go out to do this here, because they know that that's a quick, low-hanging fruit, and government will obviously need to pay. In terms of have we factored the income, the unfortunate part of the budgeting system, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members of provincial government, is that the 232 million that will be realised from the sale of these properties and the leases won't come back into the coffers of Public Works. Honourable Mayor is tabling this item relentlessly at Cabinet to say, no, there should be some ring fencing. There should be some benefit back to Public Works. So unfortunately, there won't be any for now, based on the budgeting principles that we subscribe to in terms of the PFMA and all the other regulations, Treasury regulations. We won't be able to realise that. In terms of the task team, Honourable Naya, I want to state, Chair, that and probably it would allay Honourable Dirk's fears as well. In order to dispose of any properties, you need to do one simple test. Is it in the best interest of government? And will it serve the people at large, or will it serve a particular economic classification where the rich get richer and the poorer get poorer? So we had to do that. We had to balance that. We then said to ourselves, together with guidance from Honourable Mayor, is that we shouldn't be targeting, we shouldn't be releasing properties that one could reuse or reutilize for office accommodation or any other benefit for the province of KZN. We then sent all those properties that we had to every single client department. The KwaZulu-Natal Land Administration Act, Chair, especially Section 2 and Section 5 is peremptory, it's prescriptive. We need to first go out internally, look at whether it can be utilized, and then go out externally. It's a sad state that we find ourselves that almost all of the provincial departments would like to move into a building that Public Works would be the custodians of. But in order to move into a building, the Occupational Health and Safety Act comes into play, where the building needs to be, you need to be able to occupy that building, and needs to pass many thresholds. The unfortunate part that in order to pass those thresholds, we need money. We then said to ourselves that out of 10,200 assets, if you're only dealing with not even 1% of them, you're not selling assets of, in inverted commas, you're not disposing of your entire asset. So you have many other assets that you have. These vacant lands have got a serious threat, Honourable Chair and Honourable Naya, of becoming illegally occupied, further creating more problems for government and more expenditure. So the task, the decision at hand in order to dispose of the properties were not taken lightly. It was taken under a scientific test and a scientific process. So it wasn't just where we decided one morning, no, listen, we're going to sell of these 95, 27 properties, and we're going to get. The ones that we want outright sale, I think, are only 3. That's dilapidated, illegally occupied, and something that we as a province won't want to touch. We don't want to put good investments to a bad investment. The Honourable Naya then said, are we targeting groups? We are definitely targeting those groups that are women, youth, people with disabilities, and women, youth, people with disabilities, and I think there's one more, military vets. The problem we have, Honourable Naya, we've covered that in the bid. If we limit ourselves like what those leaders that came before me who've paved this pathway that I walk on, if we limit ourselves to that, I can tell you now, the financial institutions which we've tackled at Build KZN don't want to fund people like that, because they look at those economic classifications of people as being risk factors. We're then saying, no, we're willing to enter into notorious leases with these particular people so that they can obtain funding and say, listen, there's a notorious lease signed for over a 25-year period, and listen, we want to borrow monies against that. The problem we face now is that Treasury is saying that, listen, that's a big hurdle to accomplish, but Treasury can't provide to me the reasons why we can't do it. So we're saying, no, let's do it as a test case, and let's see what the Auditor General or any other body wants to say about what Public Works is doing, because it's either we do or we die, and we're taking the thing of doing. The dying part, we'll deal with it when we do reach those platforms, but obviously responsibly as well, Honorable Naya. In terms of the overdraft, it was a brilliantly conceived idea when it was conceived by those leaders that came before us. The problem is the implementation part of it. So Public Works would perform functions on behalf of client departments, invoice 30 days later receive. If that worked clockwork and it worked in sync, you won't be having a 120-day issue whereby then departments are then utilizing us as they overdraft. The reason why they're doing that is because they don't have the monies. And that, for me, I said it at SCOPA, the SCOPA check can be, if I was a particular accounting officer of a particular department, I should be fired with immediate effect. Why? I don't know. It's something that I'm sure that you all would ask other accounting officers, because clearly, you know, you have a service level agreement, and Honorable Dlungwane covered it in his brief to me. Do you have service level? Yes. Do you have business plans? Yes. How you ask Public Works then to build a particular school for you or do something and you don't have the money, and then what you do is, you know, Honorable Chair, and I need to say it because we're on record and it will help, because when I appear the second time or third time before you all, you'll be able to understand. Once Public Works issues a contract out to contractor ABC, whoever the contractor is, and you as a particular client department don't pay me, I cannot not honor those payments because I contractually sign, and I can't then start saying, no, I'm not. But what then you do, you try to look at your overdraft in hope that that department would pay. A particular department at the moment owes us over 443 million, hasn't paid lease bills for the last 6 to 7 months. It's sitting at 143 million as we speak that I'm owing landlords only for one client department. And it can't be, Chair, through you and through August House, that then Public Works should close its doors. Hence, there are certain things that myself and Honourable Mayor have done in the last couple of days that we're hoping will realize tangible targets. And I want to say that client department has come forward to say, we put our head in the sand. We did not respond to you because we did not have the money. And we said, but you could have said that to us and we could have negotiated. Therefore, I didn't present the IPEP here to yourselves because Health together with Education have not finalized their budgets for the new financial year. We're a couple of weeks away. We don't know what, we know for a fact of what are the amounts that we have projects on the ground. And I'll give you all an example. Just for health itself, let me start off, Honourable Chair, with education. Education has, needs to give us an allocation of 494 million for 90 projects. Health needs to give us 593 million for 401 projects. Department of Transport needs to give us an allocation of 100 million for 56 projects. And other client departments, they still haven't come back to us because of the issues around the budgeting. Chair, I didn't want to get into it because it'll take the meeting into another tangent. But really, by August of last year, we should have had this IPEP sorted out. I could have then come here and sat confidently and said, these are the projects. In terms of the last point of, in terms of your last point of your overdraft, if we do not have an overdraft as Public Works, we won't be able to manage because we won't be able to pay 30 days and wait for the money. But what Treasury has done is that, and they will be issuing in the next couple of weeks, Honourable Chair, is the Treasury instruction note whereby all funding for leases and infrastructure projects will be ring-fenced, and it means that it won't go directly to the client department, it will come directly to Public Works. So when it gets to Vish at a client department, he can't use it to pay salaries and pay for other programs, because Treasury is saying that that was the abuse of HODs like myself in various client departments. In terms of Honourable Semi, who raised the issue around property rates and the turnaround strategy, we have a brilliant turnaround strategy, Chair, and I went to it at length. In terms of the shortfall, all I said, Chair, I was being honest to Joel, but we're not budgeting for a shortfall. But I need to take this committee into confidence to know that when we get in, when I appear here, if God willing I'm still around, I need to be honest and tell you you'll be able to say, no, but the guy told us that 700 million is off the target, but he's implementing strategies from the 1st of April. I'm hoping to reduce that to zero. But I can only do it, I can only report back to you all and SCOPA and all the other oversights when I do put it into practice. The Honourable, the Honourable Madlopa raised, and I'm going to thank her through yourself, Chair, if I'm allowed to say that I'm fully in agreement with the issue around the government precinct. The government precinct started within this the province of KZN as early as 2001, and it was a brilliantly conceived idea. It's still brilliant as we speak. I appeared before Cabinet 3 weeks ago to table this item on the future of the government precinct for the province of KwaZulu-Natal. It's definitely going ahead. The unfortunate part of it is that in order for us to realize the government precinct, we've got to go through the process of Triple P. The legislation around Triple P was only amended about 3 weeks ago, which makes Triple P a reality in government departments like Public Works. Today, the Honourable National Minister of Public Works tabled that they have established a Triple P unit within the office of the National Minister for Public Works. The problem is that National Treasury had so much of red tape that in the province of KZN, you only had one Triple P project, which is the hospital that's in Ketamana, which is the Albert Lutuli Hospital. From that time till now, we should have had 50, because we know we don't have monies, but the legislation wasn't conducive. With the government of national unity, then came new thinking, new ideas, policy shift. We now can be saying we want to realize that government precinct, and I presented it. The government precinct sits at a staggering cost of 7 billion as we speak. It's the solution to the problem in PNB, but it's a solution that may not be realized by this administration, maybe this 8th administration, because of the fact, the planning process and the construction time frame for that. But Public Works has done all the work, and we're ready to run. What's happening tomorrow morning at 8:30, National is down within KZN to meet with myself on how to unpack that, together with the Mayville complex that sits at Mayville, whereby we're saying, let's get a Triple P out there. Why do we go to ICC? Why do we go everywhere? Come to Mayville, hire that building and pay Public Works that money. That money we ring fence to maintain that building. So that's what we're doing, Chair. So we're not just doing things because we're not thinking of it. There is science in what we're doing. The other issue raised by Honourable Madlopa was the issue around. Sorry, Chair.
Uses versus disposal.
Yeah, in a summary form.
Yeah.
We are limited in terms of time. In a summary form.
Yeah, sorry. The issue around leases and disposals, Chair. I'm in agreement with Honourable Madlopa that if you had to provide office accommodation, Dr. Vish and the team at Public Works internally, you would realize from the 475 million that we pay a 50% savings. The problem is Public Works is responsible for the provision of office accommodation, but client departments are responsible for the funding to make sure that we're able to rehabilitate a building and get it out. There's no nexus between the funding and what Public Works is doing. What it does, Chair, it ties our hands up and asks us to go to the thing. So that's my submissions on all. And I think I did answer Honourable Mkize's last point that, and I said respectively so, Chair,
You've answered for 30 minutes already now.
I defer with the submission that our
I want you to be specific now when you were answering.
That's all, Chair. I think, just the EPWP. Oh, and the issue around OTP. Thank you for that, Honourable Bratnas. The issue around that, they are correct, but we've already invoiced it out. What they should have done was paid the money and because you're only paying it to an IDA and then dispute it. They disputed it a month back. I had to send out engineers and I had to send out a team, Honourable Chair, to go and verify whether the dispute has any water. We currently, in the next couple of days, I think 48 hours, I've given my team to finalize the report, are able to say that the 1.6 million needs to be paid. This is how the money is worth. The problem is that when you're rehabilitating a house as that of Parkside and there's a MAFA to it, what you would normally pay for 50 Rand, you would pay 500 Rand when it's a MAFA issues, because you need to get the MAFA to pass that after that. And it must still maintain its same heritage. So they were disputing the amount to say, you've done so less work, but this is the thing. So I don't want to say that they are correct in a way, but they should have paid and complained, because through an IDA, I can still give that money back to you or offset it off the next invoice that you got. So if they said that to you, I'm not, I won't be able to comment. But it is a truth that Public Works did issue the invoice and they should have paid. but they came in too late to say, listen, they only came in a couple of weeks ago to say we defer it. Thank you, Chair. I think that covers everything with the exception of EPWP.
Yes, I will give it to my chair, Mr. Dlamini. I will give the follow-ups. I just want to finalize, then we'll take the new members and then allow members to do the follow-ups.
Says PIN. That one says a PIN code.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to yourself, Honourable Chair, honourable members, HOD and colleagues. My response will be very brief. Honourable de Klerk, you asked on the issue of 3,017 work opportunities, which I think was responded to say it was for the current financial year. Now the 3,890 is for the next financial year. But I also need to mention through you, Chair, that there is generally a confusion when you see a provincial target on EPWP, and the assumption is always that it's only for Department of Public Works. Normally, National Department of Public Works will set a provincial target. Currently, for the next financial year, we are expected to deliver about 153,000 work opportunities. But that's not the Department of Public Works alone, it's the provincial target. Then that provincial target is then cascaded to municipalities and other provincial departments. And what we have to contribute towards that in the coming financial year 25-26 is the 3,890 that you are talking about. It's the same presentation that the HOD presented to say our budget is too tight in terms of realizing those work opportunities, but unfortunately the targets are set by national and given to us as a province to then achieve. Similarly, when I moved to Honourable Nair, she did ask how are we going to meet the targets. We continuously ensure that we meet the target through allocating more funding, but also what we are exploring this time around in the next financial year, normally the work opportunities that we create when we construct schools, hospitals, and other facilities, in terms of the national principle, we cannot claim those work opportunities, even though we do the actual construction and also the advertising of such work. Because of the principle that says if you do not fund the project, you cannot claim the work opportunities. Now we want to challenge that principle because it is unfair on us as public works. We are an implementing agent. If we had to agree on that principle, it will only mean we'll only have funding as a grant allocation, which is 5.4 million and whatever that the department can afford, which can never reach the 60 million that we require to meet this target. So currently we are working towards that and we shall achieve our target. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. HOD, one question you did not answer regarding the debt on the investigation, the Office of the Premier and related.
No, we don't know Office of the Premier any debt. We don't know Premier's Office any debt for any investigations, Honourable Chair. The question
is there no issue because we know for the fact that your HOD, as you are acting, there is a process, and therefore the Office of the Premier is handling that. I think that relates to that, Honourable Brother Seth.
Sorry, Honourable Chair, I didn't.
Okay, can I allow you, Honourable Brother Seth, to ask that question? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. Yeah. So look, we're aware. We see in the paper all the time that your department is busy with many investigations. We know that forensic investigations can only be done, as far as I'm aware, through the Office of the OTP. The OTP were complaining to us this morning that they're not being paid for these investigations. So I've just made it my business. Every department that appears, I'm going to ask them so I can get a picture of this. So are you saying the investigations that you conducted or that the MEC got conducted in the past 8 months didn't go through OTP? Just wanting clarity. Thank you, Chairperson.
From the appointment of the Honourable MEC, together with myself, we've only tasked them 2 weeks ago with one investigation on bursaries. The rest of the investigations were conducted by internally, by our internal control unit and our risk unit. So we haven't, Chair.
No, but I think that matter relates to the HOD is employed by the Premier. And when that investigation is being conducted, it's being conducted by the Premier, you know, not on behalf of the department. And therefore, the department is not obliged to pay back that money. I think that could be the explanation. Honorable Lishana, Honorable Gasa, I'm not sure if there is any other honorable member. Oh, Honorable Sam, okay. Oh, my apologies.
Is it on? No. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, HOD, for that presentation. A question relating to schools, and the Chair knows this question very well because the most vulnerable people in our communities face immediate issues, and one of the issues that the schools face are toilets and classrooms. So we have been going before our members, constituencies, go between Department of Education and Public Works saying there are insufficient classrooms. There are children who are not housed in classrooms, and we find ourselves going from, department to department, asking for immediate relief. And in the case of schools, I mean, we know that prefabs would bring immediate relief. And we're so many months in the year now, and there have been no answers to that. We keep getting the same answer. There is no budget. There is no budget from either education or it's education really that gives us that answer. Then there's the question of ablutions for schools. There are too many. I mean, in Zululand alone, there are 744 schools that still have pit latrines. So, and in their budget, only 29 will be relieved this year. I mean, so what's going to happen to the 680 some odd pit latrines? Are we going to have another 10-year program to replace those? So we've done the research and we've come up with the cost, and we've come up with a kind of a prefab block which will have 10 ablutions, which a two-day operation to put them in these schools. Why do we have to wait so many years when this can be put into place for our schools? Then Honourable Dirks here has already set out the Mkhonto position on unused buildings. Excellent. It is an excellent answer to so many groups. We have more vulnerable communities. 33 homes were burnt in the informal settlement here in Pietermaritzburg. Another 14 in the Midlands. I mean, I don't have to. These are constant things that come up all the time. There was a tornado also in Impendle, 7 homes taken out. And again, we look for accommodation. Now here, the empty buildings. You look at these vulnerable people who don't have accommodation, and then you've got Public Works with vacant or unused buildings. How can creative and very quick methods be put into place to house those vulnerable communities facing fires, facing floods, facing all kinds of issues? And then there is another category of people that we often come across as kind of discarded people who they're just individuals, and they usually are older people who have worked and who've lost their jobs through retrenchment or other circumstances have come before them, or they simply can't afford lights and water. People who have homes in different areas, could be Northdale or anywhere else, not being able to pay lights and water have basically taken them out of homes. And now you have unused buildings. How can these be converted to be able to house these vulnerable people? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Kasa and Honorable Nzama. Both you are in the portfolio committee. We would expect that probably, yeah, okay, let me not say that. But I have also hold Honorable Stolle because some of the issues you are able to deal with at the level of a portfolio committee, but I will not close it for you. Honorable Commander.
Thank you, Chair.
Are you fine? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I engage. Oh, no, thank you, Chair. Chair, in your report, I'm not sure if the building of Ulundi was included. However, if it was, what is the department permanent strategy about the building in relation to the budget constraint that the department is facing? How does the presented budget link or accommodate municipal rates of old ministerial houses of Ulundi, which are now benefiting illegal occupants? Are those rates also scientific? If so, how? As it was alluded earlier. I thank you.
You see, the challenge I have is that you are sitting in the portfolio committee. And here we expect that when you come here, you would have raised all those issues in the portfolio committee. That's why, Honorable Mloi, I agreed with her that the issues she wants to raise, they don't belong here. They belong into the portfolio committee. And I'm saying that with all humility, with all due respect, you know, so that we do not turn this into a portfolio committee for public works. Because public works, portfolio committee has got a responsibility in public works to deal with all of the issues of public works. You know, so I'm just hesitant to allow them to answer that, because that you must ask and deal with at the portfolio committee level. You know, so I'm raising this with all due respect. That's why I did a what is this? Earlier, when I mentioned that there's going to be a bit of a challenge. So with regard to that, I would request that the department, you are still going to have, if you have not got the time in the portfolio committee, if the following member also has got some questions and any issues, you know, why Honorable Ishana would allow her and all of the issues to be dealt with, because she sits here in this portfolio committee. So there's a distinction. I'm running away from turning the finance portfolio committee into a portfolio committee for public works. I hope you would understand the distinction that we are trying to make and do. So can I request that that be dealt with at a portfolio committee level? I'm not sure if you understand where I'm coming from, and I'm saying this with all due respect. I hope you understand, because even Honorable Stolemloi, I had, you know, she had raised the hand, similar kind of issues that she's able to deal with at a portfolio committee. So I could not give her a chance. I'm hesitant to continue giving portfolio committees a chance if they are going to ask questions and issues that they are able or should be able to deal with at a portfolio committee level. It's because I want to give enough time to finance portfolio committee members, to make follow-ups and exhaust all of the issues that are relevant to finance. I'm trying to be fair, honorable members. And Honorable Gasa, are you comfortable?
No, Chair, it's okay. We'll deal with it at the portfolio committee. It's fine. Thank you.
Honorable Nzama?
No, thank you, Chair. I will pack my bag and wait for portfolio committee for all these questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other follow-ups, honorable members, that you had made? Honorable CQ, there's a follow-up. Honorable de Klerk noted, Honorable Dex. Let's start with Honorable CQ.
No, thanks, Honorable Chair. Thanks to the HOD for responding to our question thoroughly. But Chair, I've got a follow-up. I want to check that, did I hear very well if the HOD said the properties that are going to be disposed are only 3? And the reason for those properties that are going to be disposed, it's because they are illegal occupants on it and are dilapidated. That is the reason for those properties, irrespective whether they are 90 or 3. Is it because they are dilapidated and illegally occupied? The second one is in regard to the Chair, regard to the shortfall of 600 million. I hear the HOD emphasizing and putting all his hopes to the discounted rates that are going to be paid in the municipalities by 50%. I'm saying this, Honorable Chair, because the understanding that the rates are one of the source of funding of the municipalities in order to deliver services, that maybe to put all hopes on the 50% discount may not become a reality of reducing that shortfall. What I want to check, Honorable Chair, is that is there any other alternative that the HOD have if he does not get that 50% that he's putting his hopes on? Thanks, Chair.
Honorable de Klerk.
Sorry, Chair, I'm going to be a bit mischievous. There's behind my house a stormwater pipe that's blocked. eThekwini can't fix it. Can you guys help me? It's damaging my house.
All right. And I'm sure you understand at what context is asking that. All right. That's Honorable de Klerk for you. Honorable Dex.
Yeah, I'm busy on my phone here with some other stuff here. Now this question here now, I don't want to ask again. Yeah, it was on the issue of the buildings that you say. You made a remark that you send those requests out to the HODs of all departments to see whether they want any of these buildings. For me, that's a bit problematic. I would rather prefer a situation where the Public Works Department, they must say what it is, their requirements. The Public Works Department then assess to see what is needed for those departments. Don't give it to the HOTs. Because the HOTs, I just don't want to say it here. But let me not say that here. I have a serious problem with most of these HOTs of these departments, the way they operate, the way they conduct business, the way they do things. So it was best going to be left, if it was left in Public Works will determine the requirement of the Department of Education or the Department of Health, that this is the office space that they required. Public Works should do that assessment, and Public Works can decide which is the most suitable buildings for them. Should be a function of Public Works, not a function of the HOD. The HOD have no experience in that thing of office rental. It doesn't have the HOD. His competence is totally different from that. And also the conflict of interest with the HOTs when it comes to such matters. So I was going to prefer if it was left in there, if that function can be based at Public Works, where Public Works decide. So that is my first point. The second point I have to make is the issue of that. For us in controversies, where the budget is about transformation, it's about to transform society, it's about transforming the society of KZN, it's about job creation, it's about economic development. And this budget does not do that. And all other budgets does not do it. We hop along. Most of the budget goes for salaries. And maybe it's the way the GNU is operating. But for us, we see that, especially Public Works, we think Public Works should be one of the drivers of transformation and economic development in the province, and it can be one of the drivers. But unfortunately, under the GPU, the priorities are different, and the transformation is not one of the key issues, and we don't see it in the budget. 30 years after democracy, we find ourselves in deeper problems because we did not address the issues of transformation in 30 years. 20 years from now, we'll have people at each other's throats because of the issue of transformation. We must ensure that we transform society. We must ensure that we transform. We must transform the economy of this province. It's not happening. When you look at the one section where you talk about the training, you have only trained 6. For the year, you say you have 6 emerging contractors that you will be training. So it shows you that black people are getting, this budget is leaving black people very, very far behind. It's not speaking to the issue of African people, which are the majority in this province. That is the problem we have with this budget. And budgets of all departments does not speak to African people. Even transport is so huge. When they say that...
I know now you want to argue why you do not support this budget. But
so
I see you are tempted.
Yeah, sorry. We have a problem. We have a problem with the budget. It does not speak to transformation on all the budget. It does not speak to transformation. It's just there to manage the system, to make sure that everything runs smoothly, that we don't have over expenditure, that we don't have fruitful and wasteful expenditure, and it's just business as usual, which for us is a serious problem.
I hear you.
Thank you very much.
HOT, and be business-like, in dealing with these responses.
No, thank you, Chair. I think if I get it wrong, Honorable Shana, you can correct me. Is it Shana or Basil? It's Honorable Shana. Through you, Chairperson. The issue around the prefabs and the ablutions, you're on point, and we have been engaging with education. There's a problem at education, and I'm hoping they appear before you all, but there's a serious problem in terms of monies, and you are on point. We support it wholeheartedly as Public Works. We think that's the way you should go, but unfortunately, as an accounting officer, my paycheck will stop at Public Works, but we're in agreement with yourself. In terms of unutilized buildings and land, we've already started, Honourable Member. started partnering with the municipalities in terms of saying, we started at Newcastle. Last week, the MEC released a statement as well at Howick, and we also partnered as far down as eThekwini as well in Richards Bay. Our first priority on all these properties is to first work with municipalities and any other state department. So Section 2 of the KwaZulu-Natal Land and Administration and Immovable Asset Management Act says that before the executive authority disposes of any property, he needs to first offer it to state departments and make sure that those state departments are not in need of that. We've taken it a further step now of saying that even land, which I'm sure Honorable Dirks will appreciate, that it must be used for housing purposes. And if Public Works, for the province of KZN and Public Works being a custodian doesn't have it, then municipalities can come and approach us, and together we can donate that. So we are doing that. The issue is that we're not doing it at the rate it should have been done, because we've just started it. It's a new thing. It's a new concept of how government, how the province of KZN is thinking in respect of its assets and how we best put its assets to effect. With respect to Honorable Matlopa, I must apologize if I didn't come out clear on the issue of rates. I said that a win would be if municipalities give us that 50% discount. But I never said that it was the only thing that I would rely on, because I would be misleading this Honorable House and the esteemed team that I lead. It has to be multi-pronged, meaning the discount issue, the issue of attacking the valuation role, the issue of repurposing unutilized, unused building, and more so the issue of whereby we're not going to pay you the rates when our financial year starts. We're going to pay you when your financial year is. That gives us a buffer. So we're attacking it from all avenues. It is virgin ground. It is a ground that this government never walked before. It's what we're doing at Public Works, bringing in new ideas. We're hoping that it will realize where it goes. Ultimately, but the solution, Chair, through you, would be to provide adequate budget. That's how it works. Because quite correctly, I'm agreeing with Honorable Matlopa. This is the bread and butter of a municipality. That's the first forefront of the people in terms of service delivery. So you're not going to have a cordial thing of saying, okay, I'll give you 50%. They're going to fight us throughout. So therefore, we're doing it multi-pronged. In respect of what Honorable Dirk said, I want to appreciate that submission of the fact that the delegation should lie with Public Works. And it's like you, part of our team, that we sit and we discuss these issues. And you're on point that if you sub-delegate this delegation to allow the respective heads of department, it's definite, Dr. Vish, they won't accept it because they have their ulterior, they have a difference in opinions or whatever. The problem I have, and we're still trying to overcome that hurdle, Honorable Chair, is that I could say to you to go through to go through government building X, but if you don't have the monies to renovate that, where I'm going to put you? So what we in essence what we then said is that all buildings that we know that become vacant, we need to work on it like yesterday. So it doesn't require much money to rehouse a person. But we've taken it another step, Chair, and I'm not saying it because I want to candy coat that and make Public Works the best department. No. Treasury and us have piloted something, members, that all new leases and buildings that we want to go privately, why go with fancy thing? Go with the white box thing, open plan, a bare minimum and thing. You don't need all these fancy things that people are asking.
Yeah, I'm in now, sure. Thank you. Diane.
Sorry, can the member who's or the person mute, please? Who are being affected here.
Sorry.
Yes, it's just in summary.
Yeah. So in essence, Chair, that we're looking at out of the box ideas in order to lower the lease portfolio. But the best thing is what Honorable Matlopa said, is to realize the issue of the government precinct, which I did indicate that it's a triple P process. In terms of the outright properties, Chairperson, outright disposal of the properties is either it's illegally. I never said they all are illegally. If I said it, I must put myself into context. It's a property which may be illegally occupied. It's a property which is vandalized beyond thing, and it's a property where we don't have the money to fix, and it's in the best interest of government to release that property. That's why we're doing it. But out of those three, we also have 98 to 95 vacant sites, which are vacant land, meaning it's not land with anything on it. And then the 25 long-term leases are high priority land that we think that people of different economic classifications or demographics can come in and utilize this for social economic purpose. That's how we want to contribute to it, and I therefore submit same for your consideration, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you so much, Shoti. Why? Let me just go back to Honorable Dex. The issue that he is raising is that the departments, Department of Education, Department of Health, have gone into a private leases because they do not have offices. So he is asking why that is not being done through the public works, as opposed to each and every individual department going directly and having their own leases. I think that was the question. Yeah, and then so that you respond both. Is that why are you paying upfront in the municipalities even before the beginning of their financial year, and that then affects your own cash flow? Why do you do that?
No, thank you, Chair. So no department is allowed to go out and secure their own premises. It's only Public Works that can do it on your behalf. And there's a form you need to fill that is there a government building available, yes or no. So there's a lots of checks and balances. The issue comes at play, as I said, with regards to the condition of the building and whether it passes the Occupational Health and Safety Act threshold. Your second question, Chair and honourable members, you're on point. Why it was done. Honestly, Chairperson, honestly, members, it's so easy to get invoices and pay it because it doesn't make your work difficult, because it doesn't then say that when you start your financial year, when it comes into their financial, you should pay. It was something that was not conceived, well, it was ill-conceived. Firstly, it was wrong in what we're doing. We've learned that from that. And hence you'll see with the new executive authority and a different team that's leading, we've decided to change it, but you are correct. It was the wrong thing to do, and I apologize as the department for doing that. It almost brought the department to a standstill. But if we cash flow it, you're right. You know exactly what you got. You can negotiate. You have that buffer of 3 months. You won't be where we are. So you're correct, Chair. Thank you.
All right. I think we've then exhausted issues. We've noted some of the issues that I think as the portfolio committee will take resolutions on, and we'll have time during our own time when we've had all of the hearings. We'll then, resolve in some of those issues and take a resolution on those issues. But thank you so much for your presence and your presentation. I appreciate it. We'll then leave that and adjourn the meeting because we're getting into another meeting immediately. Thank you so much. Members of the Portfolio Committee for Public Works, you can be recused. And of course, the department it's already here. I think we can let them in and then start our meeting if members agree. Thank you so much. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. I think we can start, honorable members who are fully cooperating, and the department is here, so we can just start. Our agenda is very short. The first item will be, because we do not have any apologies. We do not have any apologies. The agenda is as flighted there. That will give the MEC to make his remarks, and then we'll give the department a chance to do their presentation, and then it will be the discussions. The advantage we have is that the department, we have seen it twice already, you know, on the very same issue. So I don't see us taking long on this. It's just that it's a formality, we have to do it. Otherwise, we were not supposed to again meet. You know, but we have to follow these formalities. So you are all welcome, and would allow and ask the MEC to make his remarks. Honorable MEC.
Good afternoon, Chair. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to the honourable members and to my team from Treasury. Chair, as you say, this has been through the committee twice, so I'm going to be very brief as well. Just two things I'd like to highlight. The committee will recall that we passed the second adjustments, where just over 20 million rand is suspended from Treasury into the following financial year. And the good news is that part of that is going to be looking at our turnaround strategy and also our e-procurement system, which in the long run is going to save us an enormous amount of money, which is a positive step in trying to build the capable and ethical state that we all talk about. Just the other thing I want to raise, Chairperson, is under vacant posts. It remains a challenge for us to fill posts timeously because there's a system in place called the Shesha Wire system. And I'm not sure if the honourable members are aware of it. But it's an online system where people can apply for a position, which makes absolute sense. But it's a logistical nightmare because you could be opening an advert for someone, a chartered accountant or someone with a CA qualification, and you end up getting 3,500 applicants, of which 90% don't qualify. And we have to go through each and every application. Now, originally, what we had looked at was that departments needed a facility in their offices where applicants could go in. There would be space provided for applicants to make their application and submit the necessary documentation. So in other words, if degrees are required on the electronic system, we're not getting the information, but on a manual system where people go in and make the application or via email, that information can be submitted, and it's so much quicker to process it. It's very, very tedious, and it slows the entire process down. We've done an exercise where it's taking us between 6 to 8 months to fill vacant posts on this current system. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the committee and yourself, Chair, because I think it's a discussion that we need to have. I would imagine that every single department has the same challenge as what we have. That's all. I'll then allow you to hand over to my team. Thanks, Chair.
Good afternoon, Chair, members, my MEC, HOD, and colleagues. I'll do the presentation to the committee. Yes, Chair, it is true. It's the presentation that we have done before, but there are just a few changes that were mentioned by the MEC, the suspension that we undertook as a department of 20.1 million rand. I'll explain when we come to it. Going to slide 2 or page 2, yeah, it's slide 2 where we talk about budget principles. To say in preparing the budget, we considered the cost cutting as we have to recost or to try to implement some of the zero-based principles within our preparation. We also ensure that we focus on service delivery issues and ensure value for money. The alignment of objectives of the department with the provincial and national objectives. And we did that with in mind that knowing that we're not getting additional funding, hence we had to cut down all unnecessary things that we can still be able to cut because we knew that no additional mandate will come to our way. And last one is the mention that the department requested to suspend 20.1 million rand from the 24-25 budget to 25-26 financial year. I will explain it in detail where it is going to go. If we go to the next slide. The next slide simply presents the percentages or the tariffs that we applied to adjust for the cost of living, pay progression, housing allowance, medical allowances, which are applicable for the staff that are working at Treasury. I won't read all the percentages. I'm sure the members can see them. Mainly, it's their inflationary increments and the 1.5 pay progression. We also applied it over MTF. And on overall, the baseline, it's going up by 4.6 on the outer year. If we go to slide number 4. Slide number 4 is looking at the overall picture of our budget at a departmental level listed by programs. The first 3 columns are showing the current financial year, which is 24-25. The members will recall that the current financial year 24-25 we allocated a budget of 680. Then we had an adjustment budget that was done, I think, around November, December. The appropriation was reduced down to 2671. And then we have since applied for the suspension that we've mentioned of about 20.1 million rand, and it moves our current year's budget down from 670 to 660. So if we look at the new financial year, 25-26, the budget before suspension was 710 million rand. If we look at the total budget right below the very first column under 25-26, then the changes that were done, if we go and look at the second at the column entitled fund suspension from 24-25, you'll see that we suspended 20.1 million rand. part of the suspension or that this suspension is only affecting 2 programs, which is Program 1 and Program 3. Under Program 1, it will be the system that the MEC has mentioned, which is a procurement system. We'll also look at the financial recovery plan that the department is implementing to improve the financial management situation in the province or in all departments. Also, there's also under that 16 million rand, 1 million rand that relates to Ilembe project for Sukuma Sake that we are undertaking for what we call medicinal herbs projects that we are running there. All in all, under Program 1 will receive about 16.6 of that suspension. Then internal audit requested that we suspend 3.5 million rand, of which all of it they are focusing at looking at Department of Education to assist them, the approaches that they want to go and assist them with there. Then if we revise our budget, it goes up from 710 up to 730. So if we look at all of the programs, Program 1, you will see that it is adjusted from 229 up to 246. It's being increased by the 16.6 million rand. Program 2 remain as it was, as we presented previously in the, to the committee. Also, Program 3 remain as it was, 240. It still remain with 240. Internal audit is getting that 3.5. It's going up to 116 million. Program 5 is not receiving anything. In total, we'll open the year with our main appropriation being increased by 20.1. If you take the Green Book, looking at the Green Book, you will see that the Green Book is not mentioning the 20.1 because when that decision was taken, the Green Book was already finalized in doing it. So if we go to the medium year 26-27, you'll see that Program 1 goes back to 239 because this suspension, it's a once-off suspension. It does not go over MTF years. So Program 1 will just go back to 239. The difference will be the inflationary adjustment, which is a small increase from the indicative baseline column of 229 million. Program 2 will be receiving 55 million. Program 3 will be receiving 251. Then Program 4 internal audit also 3.5 was a once-off in the current financial year. They will be receiving 117. Then Program 5 municipal finance will be receiving 77.5. Then the outer year it's listed there, but it goes up by 700 to 772. We applied that 4.6% that I read when I read the tariffs that the outer year was created using the percentage of 4.46 that we were guided by Treasury to apply. If we go to the next slide, the next slide is indicating similar information but at economic classification level. You will see that part of the 20 million rand is going exactly to goods and services and transfers. If we look at it, look at goods and services, then fund suspension column, you'll see that 19.1 million, all of it is under goods and services. Then transfers, because it's that project that we are doing at Ilembe, the 1 million that we suspended there. Maybe I may also indicate that we received an invoice of 1.2 that will be paying towards this project. I think the project will be somewhere at 75 to 80% complete, as the infrastructure guys have certified the invoice that they are happy it can be processed. So what it says from the commitment that was done by Treasury, all the activities have been done. I think in the first quarter or first 2 months of the financial year, we will have exhausted paying for all the activities that we promised to do as the department. Similar information goes on the medium-term column. From compensation all the way down, it comes back to the same total that I was reading to the committee. I won't waste the time of the committee by reading it. If we go to the next slide is showing the main budget of the current financial year and the main budget of the next financial year, 25-26, excluding the suspension. If we add suspension, then it will take us to 730, the column that is under 25-26. For 25-26, comparing to the 24-25, you'll see the small increase of 3.8% under Program 1. Under Program 2, you will see the small increase of 4.4%. Program 3, financial governance, you'll see the small increase of 4.9%. Internal audit, Program 4, you'll see a small increase of 3.8%. Municipal Finance Program 5, you'll see a small increase of 4.3%. It goes back to the same inflationary adjustment that we have applied. In real terms, I don't think the prices out there, they go up by 4.3%. I think it's way more than that because of the affordability issues, we are unable to match it. So that's what called us that we must make sure that we apply cost-cutting measures, and we have to make sure that we ensure value for money in all of our purchases and negotiate prices where it is possible. If we go to the next slide, it's similar information at a departmental level presented in economic classification. You'll see for compensation of employees, salary and allowances for staff is going up by 5.6%, goods and services by 3.4%, and you'll see a ratio between compensation of employees and goods and services. It's almost 45 to 60 to 50% if you look at it. Goods and services is getting almost half of what compensation is taking. Then interest and rent on land, we only pay for things like car licenses, TV licenses, and all those things, and small bursaries that are intended for internal staff. We are only getting an increase of about 0.8%. Then on transfers and subsidies, it's decreasing down down by 23.5%. Payment for capital assets also it is going down from 11 million down to 9.3 million. It goes back to 4.3% increase that I've already read on an earlier slide. If we go to the next slide, that's where I'll start splitting that, probably to focus on the fund suspension column. If we look at it, you'll see that under Program 1, Office of the MEC is getting that 1 million that is dedicated to the project. Then the balance of the money of the suspension is going to the Office of the HOD because it is more like project-based. We don't want it to get diluted under other programs because it's money for financial recovery plan, it's money for procurement system, and all other projects that are looking at going to address the issues at the departments. So as the projects get approved, the money will be moved from here, from the Office of the HOD, just to make sure that it goes to the intended work that needs to be done. Then all other programs remain as they were when we presented in the earlier session with the committee. And if you look at Program 1, Program 1 is moving from 229 up to 245, which is only the adjustment of the suspension. Then the medium year is going up to 239 at the total level, and outer year is going up to 249 million. Then below is similar information presented at economic classification. You'll see that the whole of 15.6 million rand under suspension is going to goods and services, then the transfers which will be paying for that project that we're doing at Ilembe. Chair, I'll go to the next slide. The other information why I don't really emphasize on it, it is exactly the same as we presented to the committee previously. Under Program 2, there were no changes under Program 2. As we presented to the committee, Program 2, all sub-programs as listed, no changes. But if you look, the DF 25-26 is getting 53.2, 26-27, 55.6, and 27-28, 58.1. Then below, similar information at economic classification level. you'll see that the bulk of the allocation for this program goes to compensation of employees. Then a small portion of it, about 15 or 10% of it, goes to goods and services. And if you go to the next slide, program 3. Program 3 also no changes here. If you look at it, they getting a total allocation of 241 million rand for the 25-26, then 26-27 they're going up to 251, then outer year they're going up to 260. Similar, if we look at it here, you'll see this is the only program that goods and services is above compensation of employees. Reason why it is responsible for transversal systems for all departments. It pays for the usage of financial systems, which is BAS, PESAL, HADCAT, NOGIS, that are being used by department. All the costs that are associated with that, they come here. And running of their bank account as well, bank charges, all of the bank charges, be it at transport, Department of Health, Education, when they pay, when they do anything in their bank accounts, the bank charges get swept and posted to this program. So hence you see that it's almost goods and services here. The budget of goods and services is above compensation of employees because bulk of it goes exactly to service delivery than compensation of employees. It's grow from 241 to 251 and outer year to 260 million rand. Then if we go to Program 4 internal audit, Program 4 internal audit, as I indicated earlier, they get affected by suspension of fund. They requested that we suspend 3.5 in the current financial year. So they are getting this once off. And the sub-program that is getting it is assurance services. They'll be assisting Department of Education. They are growing from 112 to 116 because of the 3.5, which is a once-off. Then in the next financial year, it falls away. Then they'll get the incremental inflationary adjustment or increment, which takes them up to 117. Then the outer year 223. If we go below, it goes back that goods and services, a smaller portion that goes to goods and services, then the bulk of it goes to compensation of employees. Then if we move to the last program, municipal finance, there were no changes also on this program. The information is as it was presented to the committee in the previous meeting. For 25-26, they will be getting 74.3. 26-27, it's 77.5, and 27-28, it's 81 million rand. Also, if you look at goods and services, it's 10.5 million rand, and the bulk of it goes to compensation, which is 62.8 million. Chair, if you go to the next slide, the next slide simply indicates the alignment that I spoke about earlier on, to say we prepared the budget to make sure that we align to the overall objectives of the province and the country, and the objectives that we think we are contributing towards. One is priority one, which is a capable, ethical, and developmental state, and it is listed there on the very first block of the table to say how much we think it is going towards that objective. Basically, for the current financial year, it was 657 million. For 26-27 year, it will be 690, and the outer year 719 million. Then priority number 2, which is economic transformation and job creation, we think we're contributing to that for the next financial year, which is 52.2 million, and 26-27, 51.1, and outer year 53.4 million, and on overall it comes back to the totals that I have read to the committee. The next slide, the HOD will take over. Thank you very much, Chair.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, MEC. Good afternoon to the members of the committee and the rest of the officials. The last slide really just is, as a department, we've identified a number of spending pressures, but we've also indicated how we will deal with those. The first is the bank charges that we carry for the entire province, where we're short of about 5 million rand. However, this figure does fluctuate because it obviously depends on the amount of transacting taking place in the actual bank accounts across the province, as well as collection of cash and some of the pay points. Our computer services, again, a transversal responsibility, about 5.5 million rand short, particularly around the CETA costs. However, as late as yesterday, we got the DG's go-ahead that we can reconfigure the network, and we anticipate to make significant savings in that regard in terms of having a private network. Then there's 2.9 million that is also required for supply chain management at a transversal level, where the previous cabinet had asked for a unit focusing on supply chain management transformation. Again, there are some potential savings within that program because the Municipal Bid Appeals Tribunal has been suspended, so there are savings coming through that function that we could be used for that particular matter. The last is a small amount. We moved the SAICA program to program 3 and there was a shortfall. However, we do have a partnership with the Facet CETA and they are reimbursing us for our interns, our internal audit technicians, and so we'll use that revenue to offset those amounts. We did go through, I sat with every single program head. We went line for line in their budgets to try and identify other areas that we could cut. But unfortunately, we just really are challenged in this respect. We do know as well that there's always staff movements, and we know we're going to start the year with a certain number of vacant posts, so we'll also use those savings to offset these spending pressures. We'll continue to drive the cost-cutting measures to realise even further savings, and we will ensure that we monitor the budget very closely so that we do not have any overspending or unauthorised expenditure. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, no, thank you so much for the presentation. Very short but very precise. Honourable members, Honourable Brother Seth, Honourable the Clerk, Honourable Naye, that will be the three hands. Or end with Honourable CQ. I'm sorry, your hand, I didn't see it. Any other hand? Okay. Honourable Brother Seth.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm just going to direct the question, and whoever can answer or wants to answer is great. I'm very interested in the e-procurement system. Could you, and I suspect that many members who are on SCOPA as well would be also interested. Can you just give us the technicalities of it, how it will actually work? And then I note that in the MEC speech, he said awaiting approval. So I just want to know, has there already been a tender out for this? Does it exist in concept only, or is there an actual architecture, IT architecture product out there that you just literally need somebody to say, okay, you may go and buy it? Or what is that scenario at the moment? You know, and does it come from Treasury, or have you procured it locally or nationally, or whatever the case? If you could just give us some, and then what it actually does. If you could maybe, take us through blow by blow. If there is a tender out there, how would the system work? If you could give us just a short précis on how the system actually works, that would be great. Thank you so much. And then if you can, I would imagine what the cost is going to be, and is that currently budgeted? Thanks.
The Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. As all the budgets, it's aligned with the National Development Plan that it seems doesn't work, but it is a national plan, so I presume you're locked into it. The reason why I'm mentioning that is the issue regarding the filling of vacant post, that wire. Is it also a national thing that you are locked into? Because if you look historically back, even just in this Green Book, it's a reoccurring under expenditure because of the failure to fill these vacant posts. So one just cannot go on doing that. It is, in my opinion, financially irresponsible to follow such a process, knowing that it will be under expenditure and a problem for the department or all these departments. So what steps are being taken to stop this nonsense? Because it's nonsense, with respect. You cannot, because it morally sounds good to have such a program, keep it in place, forcing the departments to suffer financial, well, sometimes I presume even ruin because of such problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to the MEC, HOD, and your department officials. Also on the e-procurement system, are there plans to roll this out in municipalities as well? And then secondly, your reprioritizations. How is Treasury monitoring whether reprioritizations are effective? Also, how does Treasury assess whether all department budgets are aligned to the NDP and PGDP, not just on paper, but in reality? And then lastly, will Treasury help fund initiatives like the SECA training program to grow financial skills in government? Thanks.
Honorable CQ and then Honorable Des.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Greetings to the MEC for Finance, the HOD with your encouragement. Greetings to you, and we want to welcome the presentation from the department. But I've got 2 questions. In regard to the suspended fund, that is 20.177 million, I see that also is in regard to the 2024, 2025 and 2025, 2026 unspent funds. I want to check the issue of the transfer of funds. What was the challenge in transferring the fund? Because just to transfer is not about, spending, or there was a challenge in that project that led to the department not to transfer the money. I know that it's a small portion, but it's part of what constitutes 20.177. Secondly, Honorable Chair, the MEC indicated the challenge to fill posts timeously, and then he said it owes to the Shesha wires that slows the process down. And he said he believed that it's not only the Treasury that is having that challenge to fill in the post because of the process that is being followed. What one want to establish is whether this challenge has been raised in the cabinet to see whether the process that is being followed is revisited. Because if it is the cause for the failure of filling in the post on time, I think it's a cause for concern to us as members, Honorable Chair. So these are the 2 questions that I wanted to pose, Chair. Thanks.
Honorable Des.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson, and revolutionary greetings to the MEC for Finance and to the department. I will just get straight to the. In fact, when the MEC raised the issue about e-tender in his budget, when he tabled the budget, I was interested in this e-tender system. So the chair of SCOPA have already raised the issue. He wants to know how the system works. That's what we all want to know. In fact, everybody's interested now. But I just want to be, because I have to leave chair, I'll be outside, I'll listen on the I'll go online and listen because I'm going on to another online meeting. But I just want to be more specific than the chair of SCOPA. The e-tender system that's that you will outroll, will it incorporate the ANC government's, previous ANC government's policies of broad-based economic empowerment? That's not MK's policy. We don't believe in the tendering system. So the broad-based economic empowerment, preferential procurement for certain groups, for previously disadvantaged people, for women, for youth, but especially on the issue about black economic empowerment. Will that system bypass that, or will it include that policy that's in existence in the country? Because it was the previous administration's policy, and I think it's still the policy currently because they have not been changed. Thank you. That is my question. But I will listen to the responses online when I go outside. Thank you.
No, thank you, Honorable Dex. I was shocked, nearly shocked that you don't believe in the policy of the broad-based black economic. I nearly got shocked, but you clarified it. It's okay. Just so that you answer all of the questions, the question I have is, am I correct to think that that suspension was an under-expenditure? I just want to be sure if it means what I'm thinking.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you to the honourable members for their questions, and revolutionary greetings to you as well, Honourable Dirks. Let me perhaps start off with the e-procurement system. There seems to be a lot of interest, and I'm glad there's a lot of interest, because if you look at one of the challenges we face in government, our biggest hole in the bucket is in supply chain. That's where money is disappearing and there's no tight regulations. So to answer your question, in fact, just this week after the budget, I tabled the budget, the HOD had engaged with the DG of National Treasury, and in fact we don't need their approval. There is a Treasury note, so we can proceed with the procurement of the system. There is an existing system which we're looking at, and that is with the Department of Fisheries. So we're going to be doing some exploration there. It has been budgeted for. It's part of the 12 million rand, which we shifted into next year. It's obviously not the total of the 12 million rand, because part of the cost containment protocols, etc., that we're going to be doing is part of that 12 million rand. So we can now undertake the process. What we envisage the system to actually do, number one, is streamline procurement when it comes to value of procurement. Because at the moment it's very poorly regulated. I always use the example of a bottle of water. So this bottle of water probably costs you in the region of 10 rand. Some departments are procuring it for 15 rand. Other departments are procuring the same bottle for 50 rand. And that's where we have to stop wastage. My department, for example, looked at assisting some school children in Ilembe with school uniforms. And I was horrified when I looked at the current SCM process, where I was procuring school shirts for primary school children at 250 rand a shirt. So this system is designed to make sure that there is, in fact, control in procurement and the value of procurement. So I think that's going to be an enormous benefit to the province. There'll be no policy changes to answer Honourable Dirks's question. This system is not going to change any policy that's currently in place. When it comes to procurement, that's going to remain. The other, what I believe is an exciting aspect of the procurement system, which we're exploring, is that departments who continually go and procure or put out to tender projects, but they don't have the cash to back that project. We then have what we see happening in some of our departments where they can't pay suppliers. And those suppliers, the ones that suffer, are the SMMEs and the emerging businesses. This will block a department from spending or procuring anything if it doesn't have the cash to back it. And I think that is another exciting aspect, and it should bring some fiscal discipline into those departments that are non-compliant. I hope, Chairperson, that I have in fact then answered most of the questions on that system. Honourable de Klerk, on the Shesha wire system, what steps have been or how did this is not a national a mandate, it's a provincial mandate, which is something I'm raising with the committee, because I'd like the committee to engage with other departments as to whether they're having the same problem. It's nothing that's been raised with me by other departments, but I'm sure if we're experiencing this really tedious and arduous task, other departments must be experiencing that as well. And I think that comes to then the question that Honourable CQ raised on has it been raised in Cabinet? It hasn't, but I'm hoping the committee will give me some feedback whether it's a common problem. The HOD might have some more information on that. Honourable Mayor, I think I've answered the e-procurement system. The reprioritisation, that is part of the Office of the Premier's responsibility, and I'm sure the HOD will touch on that. Also the training program I will leave to the HOD. The suspension of funds, Honourable CQ, I think it's your question as well, Chair. In fact, it is projected under expenditure by Treasury. I'm proud to say that a large amount of that is from my ministry, where we've cut back on unwanted expenditure. And I think it once again shows the benefits. If we can reprioritize and not spend our budget on areas that are non-essential, we can take that money and we can create systems like the e-procurement system to actually save further money. So I hope that answers your question. And if you need a breakdown of that saving, we can certainly give it to you. That's all from my side. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much to the members for the question. And perhaps just to add on to the e-procurement system. So I think the benefit of using a system that is already in play in government is that it's already been customised and will be aligned to the policies of government as well as the business processes. It will also interface with the accounting system, which is critical for the budget blocking that we're wanting to introduce. What it will also do, it will interface with the central supplier database. So it will invite suppliers, so it won't be left to the human choice of who you're going to choose to invite. So it'll be open then to everybody that's registered on the CSD, which is also good. What's good about the system, it limits the manual interventions. You won't have situations of bids disappearing or documents within a bid disappearing. So it really deals with taking away some of these issues that we are seeing coming through. There'll also be an audit trail. So if somebody overrules the system and doesn't award it to the highest bidder, they would have to explain it. And there's a full audit trail that both internal and external auditors would be able to look at. It also has a module around contract management, which is really important. That's one of the fundamental reasons why we have such high irregular expenditure. Departments don't go out to tender on time, and they don't extend the contracts on time, so they incur irregular expenditure. The contract management flags it. You set a period, whether it's 6 months, flags you, tells you you need to start your new procurement process, and so it's also very, very useful in that respect. We have not costed this yet. We were waiting for the feedback from National Treasury. However, the costs are going to be probably just on the implementation. We won't have to buy the system because it's owned by government. which is really positive. But we anticipate to rolling it out in the 4 departments in the next financial year. Obviously, if we can do more, that would be preferred. We aren't rolling it out to municipalities. They have their own systems under the Municipal Systems Act. They have to engage with National Treasury. There's certain systems that they are allowed to implement, so we won't be going into that space at a municipal level. In terms of monitoring the reprioritization, obviously the budget team look at that every single month in terms of the RYM. As you would know, the PFMA requires certain approvals for certain movement of funds. In some instances, departments, accounting officers can approve movements of fund, but if it exceeds the 8% or if you're shifting money from capital, there's certain approvals, and the budget team do monitor that on a monthly basis, and it feeds into the adjustment estimate process. In terms of what the MEC was saying, the alignment to the PGDP, that is really the work that's done by the Office of the Premier. And we're also wanting to strengthen that relationship with OTP so that there is a clear assessment of what are we actually buying with the budget. The SACA program is only currently focusing on Treasury, but what we have found is most of the young people that qualify as chartered accountants remain within the public sector, and that really was the intention, to create this level of competence in the province. I think the MEC has covered the issue around the savings was really in COE and obviously the related costs to the tools of trade, but then also the cost cutting, which was about 6 to 7 million rand in terms of what we cut as a department. I think I'll stop there. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Brotherson.
Just a very quick follow-up. Look, that e-procurement system sounds excellent. Obviously, the devil's always in the detail. MEC, you spoke about this example. That's going to obviously require a huge amount of input work. So I'm just wondering are you going to be tasking a group of people to go around to shops and suppliers and find out what's the best price of, because I'm so glad to hear this, because from my time in Scopa, back with Honourable Madlopa, we said that is, everybody focuses on tenders that are regularly awarded and all that sort of thing. But you can do that 50 Rand bottle of water and that tender looks perfect. Absolutely perfect. But you're losing, that 20 Rand per bottle. And so I'm so glad to hear that. But I'm just wondering, do you have a team that are going to literally do a real world analysis on 1,000 items and literally input that in? And then how will it work will you then set it to inflation so it works with inflation, but then also keep an eye on it so that sometimes inflation can just run on your system and eventually double the cost, but in real terms it's not. So just wondering how you're going to manage that, because I think you can get that right, wow. I think your expenditure is going to be slashed. That's my gut feel with a system like that, but slashed beyond recognition almost. Thank you.
Yes. So in addition, is that going to apply to all the departments across? Thanks.
We've just completed a research study that we did around baselining or benchmarking prices of common commodities across the province, and we're very happy to share that report with the committee. This is obviously a work in progress. If you look at the supply chain management, it's made up of different stages, and the first stage is demand management, and I think that's where as government we haven't focused enough. In that stage, the user, let's assume that the CFO is the user, he comes to me, I'm supply chain management, he'll say, I would like a laptop. They should be going out and understanding what are the specifications that are required, who are the players in the market, what is a reasonable fair price for that commodity. The other thing that you need to look at is the total cost of that procurement. So you would have to look at, for example, if it's an asset that you're procuring that'll have to be disposed of in future, at the running costs. So looking at the total cost, which is also not done. So we've prepared that guideline document that will then go out to departments. There will be training on which is also called strategic sourcing. We'll also undertake that capacity and training. So in the document that we've actually identified some of these common items that are procured, and then we'll be providing, exactly as you said, what we believe is a fair price. Plus then it would be based on inflationary increase. There are certain inflationary numbers based on the commodity, and it's all contained in that report. So it's work that we've only just done now, so it is going to take a bit of time to see the results, but it is something that the transversal SCM team will also be driving.
So one of the other reflections is this could possibly make Treasury be the agent of one of the biggest buyers of anything in the province. We obviously 158 billion rand is not all spent on goods and services. But are you also factoring in going to suppliers and saying, listen, we don't want your stock standard shelf price. We're a massive purchaser. We purchase 10 billion rands worth of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, we want a bulk deal. We want discounts. Because I think that's also what government doesn't do, is it doesn't actually flex its muscle, its buying power muscle, and saying, hey, I don't want to pay the normal price. We're buying a lot of this particular thing. We want the best price you can give us. Is that going to be factored in?
I think there's always a challenge in terms of engaging with service providers before you've actually started a procurement process. So we have to be wary of that and possible interference and influence. But the Honourable Member is absolutely correct in that once you've concluded a procurement process and you've identified supplier A, if you have done your research correctly and you know what the price is, you can then negotiate with the supplier that has been selected. You cannot negotiate before the procurement process started, otherwise it causes challenges.
Much. In fact, this is exciting. It's very exciting because it's going to streamline now how departments work in terms of the supply chain. Some of the challenges that we see even in various departments is that the delay in terms of the expenditure is because of the supply chain processes, and they take forever, for some reason. I don't believe it should be taking that long. For some reason, it takes longer, so which causes a problem for the entire system. But we really appreciate it. This is going to be, I think, one of the game changers in the industry here where we are. So thank you so much. Without any further ado, we are covered. Okay. We really want to appreciate. We know that we've seen this a number of times, and we appreciate just that. Just coming here and seeing you, even if you have not said anything, would have really appreciated. So thank you so much. We appreciate. I think there are issues that we've not heard, but we are quite fine and comfortable with everything. Unless MEC, there is any closing remarks that you have, nothing. Okay, we'll then close in the on that note. Thank you so much. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. We'll meet honourable members tomorrow morning at 11:30. Thank you.